Sahee are quite unfair. In the future, she is going to be thrown into an unexpected misfortune that will make her feel like she was born from misery. In the past, there were times when she had sunny days, decent winds, and blooming flowers. Yet all that will always be seen as nothing compared to what others experience. She has to worry about the important guest that will be arriving soon. After all, she has been instructed to make sure they are well prepared to receive her. While she is doing this, she wonders why Mrs. Chun, the woman in charge of overseeing the arrival of their guest, fell ill today. Aside from that, there's a lot of work involved in getting things set because their guest wants to occupy the annex of the guest house. It has been unoccupied for 9 years and was a mess until Sahee worked on it. She's done and decides to take a short break. She feels she should take a rest now, since she will be free until nightfall. Suddenly, she hears someone call out to a certain Lee Hyung-gu, asking him how long it has been. Sahee recognizes this Hyung-gu guy and wonders why he is here. She is still thinking about this, when he acknowledges that it has truly been a while since he saw his friend. He then asks him if he came to see his parents, which he did, but partly regrets now. Why? Well, that's because his parents keep nagging about him getting married. That's why he even left the house and came out to her some fresh air. He hates it when they bring up that topic, believing he is still too young to be thinking about marriage. However, he wants to know if Hyung-gu's family nags him about marriage as well. The question almost gets him laughing, as he struggles to withhold some information concerning his engagement. Information that an eavesdropping Sahee is curious to hear, as well as the guy he is conversing with. Finally, he spills, confessing that he feels he might be marrying Sahee. This information hits her hard, almost causing her to fall off, as the other guy asks Hyung-gu if he is dating Sahee. According to him, they are not dating yet, but their families have been discussing about them getting married. From his facial expressions, he looks like he supports his family's idea. Even his friend is in support, stating that if word of this gets out to their former classmates, it will drop jaws. That's because Sahee was so beautiful that she was the first love of most guys in the area. He wants to know if she is still as pretty, a fact Hyung-gu confirms, before adding that she is crippled now. He believes that she has nothing aside from her looks. His mother isn't even in support of the union, and the other guy can see why. At this point, Sahee decides to stop eavesdropping and leaves to go block the back path she forgot to block. She had forgotten because Mrs. Chun usually handled that, and she is sick now. She has to do it now before it's too late and their important guest arrives, but ends up bumping into a very handsome man, their eyes meeting and trapping her in the longest second of her life. At least until those creeps keep talking about her, ending the moment. When they revisit the fact that she is crippled, the handsome guy has a look at her legs, still focusing on them when he hears that her only issue is her ankle. Everything else is good, and Hyung-gu hopes to have her soon and tell his friend how things went later. Sahee is obviously annoyed by the discussion, acting like she isn't bothered, when her ankle acts up and she trips right in front of the handsome stranger. It's quite embarrassing and gets even more embarrassing when he swoops in and saves her. He still has her in hand when he asks if she is the one the men are talking about, but Sahee just breaks free from his hold. Before leaving, however, she bows, politely, announces her exit, and just leaves to block the back path like she initially wanted to. Once she is done with that, she goes to see her grandmother at the Yeonghwadang guest house's main building. On getting there, she tells her she came in response to her call, and her grandmother introduces her to a much younger woman named Min Yojin. Apparently, she is from some place called Jungmoon Enterprises. This lady is their important guest, so Sahee greets her respectfully, before introducing herself and stating that she'll be assisting her. Throughout the introduction, their guest monitors her closely, waiting for her to finish, before asking if she is the granddaughter the old lady was referring to. She isn't, in fact, the person they had discussed earlier is Mrs. Chun, who is the second child, while Sahee is the first. She tells Yojin about Mrs. Chun's illness and repeats that Sahee will be taking her place for a while. Surprisingly, their guest ignores all the details and emphasizes on how pretty her substitute aide is. According to her, she is so beautiful that she can't take the old lady's comments about a certain CEO Jung seriously. On hearing this, the mood in the room changes with Sahee's grandmother clearly feeling uneasy, but tries to hide that feeling with a fake smile. Along with it, she wards off the praises by claiming her little girl is from the countryside and cannot compete with the good looks of a CEO. She is desperate to change the topic as quickly as possible, so she sends Sahee to get some tea. The obedient young lady heads out as she has been instructed. On her way out, she figures out that something is wrong because of the pot of tea on the table and her grandmother's uneasy look. She realizes that the old lady probably wants to show off someone else and plans to make sure she doesn't interfere with that. While she is outside the room, she eavesdrops, listening to the claims that she is not in the best condition, but is skilled with her hands. She also hears when Yeojin is assured that she will not be inconvenienced when she is assisting her. The younger lady replies in a concerned tone, her pity for Sahee and how she knows a good doctor she can be referred to. Her grandmother, who is still acting concerned, claims to like the idea, before stepping out to address Sahee. While outside, she reverts to her true colors, roughly handling the poor girl's pretty face, when she questions her for wearing makeup to welcome their important guest. She helps her clean off her makeup, as she reminds her that her privilege to live at the guest house comes from a certain family they are favoring. She just wants Sahee to assist Yeojin until Mrs. Chun is back and demands that she exhibit proper behavior until then. For now, since it's time for dinner, the annex of the building will be unoccupied, so she orders her to ensure their rooms are comfortable while they are out. As her grandmother leaves, Sahee pats herself on the back for being right about her needing to be careful around their guest. With that in mind, she plans to do her best to avoid bothering Yeojin and intends to keep a distance, even if she hasn't demanded it yet. She is so lost in thought at the moment that she ends up walking in on the handsome guest from earlier while he is dressing. For a second after entering, she is stunned by the man's frame, before realizing what she has done and apologizing for walking in on him. She decides to take her leave, feeling down that she has made a mistake. She scolds herself for not being careful enough because it's dinner time. She knows she should have checked before walking in, but assumes she is okay, since the man didn't seem pissed by her intrusion. Well, she feels that way until she notices the large shadow she is trapped in and he asks her to come in. She is obviously reluctant to do so, but ends up obeying. Luckily for her, this time he is fully dressed, allowing her to be free enough to apologize to him for her rudeness. He agrees with her that walking into a room without knocking is rude. In her defense, she claims she had heard everyone went for dinner and apologizes again. The man just assures her there is no need for her to apologize, as he makes his way to the door. Once more, Sahee is trapped for a very long few seconds, feeling nervous as she asks herself why this man is staring at her. He is almost at the door when he pauses, intending to say something to her, but gets interrupted by one of his staff. The man, while addressing him as CEO Jung Taeon, informs him that the preparations for the video conference as well as their meeting with headquarters have been completed. He requests that they leave now, giving Sahee the opportunity she needs to escape this. However, when she announces her intention to leave, CEO Jung Taeon instructs her to bring dinner to his room, after which he leaves. It's been a very hectic night for her, leading to a sunny morning that Yeojin starts with prayers. While she is praying, she focuses on the company and Taeon, but the man in question is busy working while she is at it. When she notices this, she calls him, ordering him to come and offer prayers like she is doing. She warns him to listen to her because she is his mother. Still, he refuses to listen. She then decides to try reasoning with him and starts by claiming to understand why he is unhappy about everything. She knows he is pissed because he was forced to come all the way out here as soon as he got to Korea, but she emphasizes that there was nothing she could do about it, since it was the chairman's decision. Despite this, she wants him to consider this as his first break in a long time and isn't done addressing the matter when Sahee shows up. She intends to come in, but even before she does, Taeon recognizes her voice. As soon as she steps in with the cold water Yeojin requested, their eyes meet, making her feel uncomfortable, as she believes he is watching her again. Regardless, she ignores the stare, addressing his mother, who starts interrogating her all of a sudden. She knows the girl's name, but is curious about her age. On hearing that she is 28 years old, her curiosity increases, prompting her to ask Sahee if she has a boyfriend. She replies that she doesn't, so Yeojin wants to know why, especially since she is around the qualified dating age. It doesn't take Sahee too long to find the best way to kill the topic, which is to confess she isn't interested in stuff like that now. Surprisingly, Yeojin supports her excuse, praising her for being pretty and young. She believes there will be no problems for her now and she can do whatever she wants before finding a partner to settle down with. To her, there is no need to rush because dating and marriage are filled with complications, something they both agree on. Taeon, on the other hand, does not agree, so he ends up laughing, pissing his mother off in the process. She demands to know if she said anything funny. According to him, her words were encouraging, but she replies that she wasn't talking about him. After all, his circumstances are different and he needs someone reliable by his side to help manage the company. Still on this, she admits she wondered what he would be doing with all his free time while they are here, and suggests he goes on blind dates. She plans to set up those dates, but doesn't even notice the staring contest between her boy and Sahee. Eventually, she gives up, turning away when Yeojin reminds Taeon of how he always insisted he was busy back in Seoul. Now the chairman has done her a favor, denying him of that excuse. Suddenly, she remembers something that had slipped her mind and starts searching for it. It's an envelope she wants Sahee to give her grandmother, and it contains a list of the blind date partners for her son. She wants the old lady to run through the list and see who is more compatible with him. After doing this, she leaves with him, probably because she wants to discuss more with him concerning the blind dates. Yeojin believes they do not have much time and advises him to make sure this doesn't drag on for too long. She wants him to meet with the ladies first, and when he finds one he clicks with, they'll proceed accordingly. Finally, he agrees, but that's not enough for her. What's important now is determining whether he is interested in their little idea or has his interest caught in something else. That something else is Sahee. So she asks him if she caught his attention, pointing out that she is very beautiful. Yet, when she asks Taeon if the girl is his type, he laughs, letting his mother know that he can see what she is up to. A surprised Yeojin accepts defeat, wanting to know if she made things too obvious. He simply responds with a piece of advice that she should go inside and get some rest since she looks tired. He then leaves her to herself, walking away, while thinking about how all he has to do is make the move if he is interested in someone. He agrees that Sahee is beautiful, but he'd rather not become a pathetic fool and waste his time on a pointless dream. Elsewhere in the Yeonghwadang compound, the girl of the hour is moving from room to room with clean bedsheets. Apparently, she is feeling tense and believes it's because she is tired. She has given her grandmother the envelope as she was instructed and plans to head back to her room once she drops all the bedsheets. It's no surprise that the next room on her list is Taeon's. After what happened yesterday when she bumped into him, she decides to ask if she can come in before she does. Nevertheless, when she gets no response, she concludes no one is in and is grateful for this. She just wants to get over with this quickly and leave, until she notices the dinner she brought for him last night is still untouched. It annoys her that he instructed her to bring it to his room when he didn't even eat it. This alone makes Sahee conclude that Taeon is the type of person who has had all he wants since birth. She suspects that this makes him not hesitate to boss people around, but he can't shake off the weird looks he keeps giving her. Like earlier, when she was speaking with his mother, he just stared at her without hiding it, and that disturbed her. In the end, even though she can't stop crossing paths with him, she hopes to avoid getting involved with him for as long as possible. After all, he isn't going to be around for long, and he is supposed to meet prospective marriage partners. Luckily for Sahee, even upon her deep thinking, she finishes making the bed without bumping into Taeon. Now all she has to do is leave the room, but then she gets distracted, recalling something Mrs. Chun had told her about Yeonghwadang. She had said some of their guests used it as a place to hide their secret love affairs. Now she suspects Taeon is like that, seeing him as shameless even though he is unmarried. Plus, the building's annex has 2 rooms, one occupied by him and the other by his mother. The rooms are not even that far apart, and she suspects he has been having intimate moments without respecting the distance between them. At the end of the day, she is still cleaning when he starts heading back. However, on his way back, he stumbles upon a familiar face, some guy in glasses who informs him that his room is being cleaned at the moment. He had been waiting for Taeon all this time, but our boy is more focused on his room that is being cleaned. Just then, Sahee steps out and their eyes meet, resulting in another awkward moment. Still, she can't avoid this and walks up to Taeon and his visitor, who immediately starts a conversation with her. Firstly, he confirms that she is working at the guest house, before he introduces himself as the CEO's secretary. With a warm smile, he thanks Sahee for looking after them during their stay here. Sure, she takes the compliment as well as the opportunity to escape a long conversation with the men. Still, before she can leave, Taeon stops her and hands her a drink. It looks like a kind gesture, but then she remembers what she saw in his room and that she views him as a pervert. That prompts her to refuse the drink and head out. While she leaves, Taeon just watches her with his mind fixed on her words. No, I'm fine. I'll take my leave now. He is puzzled that after those 3 sentences, she ran away, making him wonder if she thinks he wants to pounce on her. He doesn't understand what has made her wary of him until he steps into his room and sees a box on the table. He suspects that his mother had sent the box and Sahee probably saw it, which was why she was acting funny. Upon that, he believes this just made things interesting. Now, back to the box. Taeon knows his mother didn't bring it here herself, after all. They parted ways not too long ago. He suspects she sent Secretary Kim to handle it, but he acts ignorant. The poor guy eventually breaks, and his body expressions of uneasiness eventually betray him. In the end, Taeon doesn't really scold him. He just wishes he was more discreet next time he is carrying out his mother's will. The secretary apologizes, but Taeon suggests he forget about it, before he slumps on a chair, looking frustrated. Because of his change in mood, Kim suspects something is wrong. He wants to know if something happened between this guy and his mother, but even he doesn't know. All he knows is that she is on edge. Because of his response, Secretary Kim admits that he is also frustrated, so he understands how Mrs. Yeojin is feeling. Taeon is now interested in knowing what he is frustrated about. He confesses that he is stressed because they are cornering his boss and protecting a man named Jung Taeon, who is already done for. This man who they are talking about is Taeon's older cousin who was given a position in their company's construction group by the chairman. At first, it looked like things were going great for him, until the embezzlement of 8 billion won that stemmed from his misconduct. His poor ability to cloak his corruption gave Taeon the opportunity he was waiting for to cut his cousin down. Unfortunately for him, the chairman stepped in and protected the corrupt one. He constantly protects this man, and he is only doing it to keep Taeon in check. He is sure Chairman Jung isn't planning to simply hand over the company to him, and he is ready to take it by force. His plans to do so have not been revealed yet, but for now, he questions Secretary Kim about the spring basketball game opening in 2 weeks. He is informed that his information is right on point, and that the club already sent them an invitation. He intends to look into this matter, believing things should settle nicely in about 2 weeks. Even if they don't, he wasn't the one who came up with the idea in the first place and feels the chairman would understand. Later in the day, Sahee is resting, as she reminisces on what happened earlier on with Taeon. Looking back, she wishes she just accepted the drink and wasn't unnecessarily cold to him. She is still thinking about him when she looks up to the sky and prays for Mrs. Chun's quick recovery. If her prayers are answered, Mrs. Chun will take over from her and she won't need to cross paths with Taeon again. Suddenly, she gets a message, disrupting her deep thinking. It's a message from a certain Kim Jaewon, claiming to have some good news for her. Intrigued, she decides to call him and hear what he has to say. Once he picks up the call, she goes straight to the point, demanding to know what's going on, but he hesitates. Firstly, he wants to know how she can go straight to the point without first saying hi, and tells her he will be at her place soon. Obviously, this comes as a surprise to her, but he doesn't seem to mind asking her to come outside. Normally, she wouldn't have, but he claims it's important, so she decides to hear him out. Luckily for her, she doesn't have to wait too long for him to arrive, and when he does, he is loaded with smiles. Jaewon's happiness is mainly because they haven't seen each other in a while, but she is more interested in the important information he was talking about on the phone. Again, he scolds her for being too straightforward before handing her a letter. Before reading it, she asks what it is and is shocked to hear it's a recommendation letter to study abroad. She wants a better explanation, but Jaewon presses her to read it further, because the senders are expecting a response within the next 2 weeks. According to him, their terms aren't bad either. They just need her to show up without a care. He explains that it's a lifetime opportunity that will change the way she lives now. Juwon really wants her to consider it and is about to leave when he perceives the smell of cigarettes. Immediately, he wants to know who is smoking, waving his hand about to drive away the smoke, when Sahee stops him. Suddenly, she notices his attention is fixed in the opposite direction and turns to see what he is staring at. She discovers it's Taeon, and his presence causes a very awkward stare down between the three. During this time, Juwon can tell something is up, but is lost in the moment until Sahee snaps him out of it. In a bid to escape the CEO, she suggests they move their conversation into the guy's car. However, he dismisses her, emphasizing that he has nothing to say to her, but she persists. It's uncertain what she wishes to discuss with him, but he ditches her without waiting to hear it, leaving her by the sidewalk to deal with Taeon. She is certain he saw them bickering like children and looks over to see if he is still watching her, but spots him leaving. She has noticed that only irritating things happen when they cross paths and wonders if she has the right to be annoyed by that. After all, he is just an important guest, a very important one that means nothing to her life. Little does she know what the future holds. Eventually, nighttime arrives at Yeonghwadang when Sahee is finally off duty and has time to go through the recommendation letter she was given. She stares at the letter, wondering why this is happening now after she had already given up. Before she ended up here, she spent 4 years studying fine arts, but never believed it could turn out to be a viable career for herself. At the moment, she considers taking this opportunity because she already plans to leave the guest house soon. She is still weighing her options when some guy comes to her door, knocking it as he claims to be her uncle. The man wants Sahee to come outside for a second. When she opens the door, she is about to ask him to come inside when she notices how nicely he cleaned up. She wonders if he is just returning from a date, but he ignores the question and hands her the fast food that he picked on his way to see her. She is stunned by the fact that it's a hot dog, but her uncle is more focused on the fact that he heard she skipped dinner. It's a clear show of kindness, and Sahee thanks him for it, but then he asks her something about the Jung family, their important visitors. He wants to know if she is aware that his family will be paying their respects to their deceased tomorrow. She is aware of this, glad that she wouldn't have to run into their crazy family tomorrow. Her uncle, on the other hand, is still talking about the Jungs and how everyone has been working hard to inherit the company. As he recalls, their family was on the edge after their first son passed away. His death left the entire family growing pale and confused, for fear of failing their big family name. What she knew was that the entire family seemed terrified of Chairman Jung at the time. Where was Taeon when the eldest son passed away? It turns out he was still just a college student at that time. He was young, no doubt, but he didn't appear shaken by the news of his brother's loss. He handled the loss well, and on the funeral day, when Sahee's uncle saw him, he knew he was the only man destined to take over Youngmoon. Hearing this gets Sahee listening, with her thoughts going back to that snowy evening, 9 years ago. She focused on the day of the ceremony for the lost Youngmoon heir. That day, she recalls Taeon as being one of the persons who came for the ceremony. Nevertheless, that was a long time ago, and today Sahee is planning on enjoying her day. With the guests paying their respects, she smiles at the thought of not having to deal with any of them to avoid awkwardness. To ensure things go that way, she heads over to the annex to clean the rooms before they return. However, when she gets there, she bumps into the one person she is trying to avoid. She doesn't see him until he calls out to her and she looks up. Sahee can see that his buttons are undone and things get creepier when he tells her he has a favor to ask. He wants to know if she has some time to spare, and she claims she does. On the inside, she can't understand why he is asking for favors in such a disoriented state. She suspects that he brought a woman here when his mother was away and probably wants her to clean up after him. To her utter amazement, she is far from the truth. He actually needs her to help him sew back 2 buttons that fell off. This is awkward for her, but she manages to direct him to take off the shirt so she can get her sewing kit and help him out. Just to be sure, and because of Sahee's ankle condition, Taeon informs her of his video conference in 30 minutes, seeking to know if she'll be done before then. Now that she thinks about it, getting back to her room will take at least 15 minutes, even if she walks quickly. When she does get there, she'll have to sew the buttons and bring it back. She can tell this wouldn't work, but then Taeon brings up the option of them going together. Sahee is about arguing, but he explains that this way, she can come back on her own, while he goes for his conference. He also talks about how it takes a while to get to her room from his room, but she responds that with his pace, it should take him 5 minutes. Regardless, he is okay with cranking it down a notch for her sake, and they start their walk to her room. During the early stages of this walk, Taeon notices he is being too fast, recalling what he told her some seconds ago, before he calms down to wait for her. In 15 minutes, they are at Sahee's room, but she is having trouble ascending the stairs. When he notices this, he offers to help, but she declines his offer, claiming she can do this on her own. Still, he persists, asking her to hold on to him since he won't let her make him look like a jerk. At this point, she has to give in and hold on to him. When they eventually get to the top of the stairs, she thanks him and goes into her room to get the kit. While she is in that, she asks him to take off his shirt and hand it to her, after which she steps into the room. In there, she makes up her mind not to get involved with Taeon again. In fact, once she fixes the shift, she plans on sending him on his way. For now, she has to focus on fixing the shirt, as she has found her kit and permits him to go in and take off the shirt. As he does this, Sahee gets an urgent call from the CEO of a publishing company. She takes the call, but greets the caller in a low tone that the caller pays no attention to. Instead, he is interested in the file she had sent him in the morning. Apparently, it is the wrong file, and he wants to know if she can send it again. Obviously, she can't. Her excuse is that she is preoccupied and she will get back to him within an hour, but then Taeon takes off his shirt and hands it to her. This results in another few seconds of unsettled silence. During these few seconds, the caller goes wild, believing her line is dead. Sahee, on the other hand, has forgotten she is on a call and is focused on Taeon's perfect bare body. Luckily for her, she snaps out of her little trance in time and is about to start stitching it when she gets the buttons from him. Before she starts properly, she advises him to go in since it's cold outside. He simply does as she asks, leaving her to stitch the shirt. As she fixes it, however, she feels uneasy, because she concludes Taeon is watching her. She can sense his gaze and decides to have a little peek, to see if he is actually staring at her. It's a mistake, by the way, leading to her accidentally piercing herself. Her mistake gives her a little cut in the hand that spills a little blood on the shirt. Now she starts to panic, fearing that her stain on the shirt has jeopardized his meeting. She concludes he doesn't have that many shirts and is about to break the news to him when he asks if she is done. Yes, she is. But then there's the issue of the accidental stain that he doesn't pay much attention to. Instead, he wants to know if Sahee has a job. She affirms that she has a job, wondering if he thinks she is jobless because she is always running errands around. Taeon wants to know the type of job she is doing, so she tells him she is a writer. An amazing occupation, so he wants to know if she is well known. She can't really give a straightforward response, but believes that to some extent she is, which makes him even more curious. Yet, before he can ask her anything more, she welcomes him to surf the internet to determine whether she is well known or not. He grins at her response and sees himself out after thanking her and imploring her to get some rest since his mother will be back in the evening. Soon the scene shifts from Sahee observing Taeon as he rushes for his conference to him attending the video conference. The other participants are busy dropping facts and important details. Meanwhile, his mind is on Sahee and her writing career. He decides to pick up his phone and search for her. She is indeed a novelist, as she had claimed, and her book, Cotton Dust, shocks him so hard that he has to react. Upon his reaction, Secretary Kim gets curious, wanting to know if there is a problem. Taeon replies that there isn't, but in truth his reaction was caused by one of the kiddies' books Sahee wrote. With the way he is smiling, he'll probably bring this up later, even though she might have forgotten they discussed something like this. Currently, with the Jungs away, she is enjoying some sweet old peace and quiet in Yeonghwadang. It's almost like some dream until Lee Hyung-gu shows up and interrupts it. He came to see her with a bouquet in hand and a cheeky smile, seeking to know where she was. He's probably expecting a return smile, but instead she ignores him, wounding his pride. Despite her cold response, Hyung-gu refuses to back down, demanding to know why she is ignoring him. She simply continues with the cold vibe she is giving and advises him to do what he came here to do and leave. He replies that he came here to see her and hands over the bouquet to her. He also claims to understand that she is busy, so he goes straight to the point and asks her to marry. After his proposal comes a cry for help explanation of his feelings. Meanwhile, Sahee goes quiet. She remembers all he had said about her a few days ago and asks him how much she is worth. Yoongu didn't see this coming and didn't even look interested in the question when Sahee clarified. She explains that she is asking him how much she is worth or how much he wants to pay for her, but he doesn't respond. This gets her even more curious to know why he is putting up a show like he is a different person. With nothing to say, Yoongu relies on the fact that Sahee's grandmother said he is a good fit, but she retorts with the suggestion that he marry her grandmother if that's the case. Those words pierce him deeply, so he takes the poor girl by the arm and asks her how long she plans on pretending to be someone important. She agrees that she is a nobody, but that's not enough reason for her to marry him. He is nothing to her but a short and ugly former classmate, and he refuses to accept that forcing her somewhere else. To the best of her ability, Sahee tries to resist, but he overpowers her. Still, she refuses to go quietly, yelling at the top of her voice until Taeon coincidentally shows up. He immediately interrupts their not-so-friendly reunion, prompting Yoongu to ask her if she knows him. Surprisingly, she is unable to respond and just looks away, right before she collapses. All this is too much for her, as far as she's concerned, taking away all the strength in her legs, but Taeon doesn't let her sit there wallowing in self-pity. He walks over to her and asks her if she has taken care of the favor he asked. Although she doesn't respond, he reaches for her bag and declares that he was right. He then addresses Yoongu as a flower vendor who sells cheap flowers, someone they shouldn't have roaming around Yeonghwadang. To piss him off further, he smiles at him cheekily and pulls out his wallet, intending to buy the flowers. From his wallet, he removes 100,000 won and hands it over to Yoongu. He doesn't even take the flowers, but he does help Sahee with her bag and offers to help her up. Initially, she is reluctant to take his hand, but she does, eventually leaving the other guy awestruck and annoyed. He questions the man's right to take Sahee away, as well as treating him like a flower vendor and giving him money. Looking back, he regrets not being more assertive. He is busy venting when her grandmother walks to him and asks if he has come to see Sahee. He tells her that he is about to leave since Sahee seems busy, but she is curious to know if the young lady hasn't opened her heart to him yet. Yoongu assures her it's fine and he will try harder, showing his face around her more often, but she refuses. Her reason is that there is an important guest at the guest house, so he should limit the way he comes around. She feels it would be wise if he arranges a meeting with Sahee elsewhere, but all he can think about is the important guest and how he might be the guy who insulted him earlier. He knows that man is the CEO of Young Moon Constructions, Jung Taeon, but he says nothing about their encounter to the old lady. He just takes her advice that young people should spend time outside for their feelings to grow. After all, she wasn't trying to tell him not to come around totally, but just for the moment. When she is done, he claims to understand, having this evil smile on his face as he leaves. Because of what happened, he feels Sahee is materialistic, but consoles himself with the belief that she will amount to nothing but a mistress to Taeon. Sure, he has a new unknown enemy, but at the moment he is leading Sahee back to her quarters. Upon arrival, he lets go of her and she thanks him for having her back earlier. Instead of replying with the usual, "You're welcome," he states that he has noticed there are many men around her. He has seen that there is one who tells her he loves her and another who wants to marry her. He perceives she would have to explain these men to someone she is dating, if she was in a relationship. Although she isn't romantically attached to Taeon, she explains to him that the guy with the flowers was just being stubborn and the one from earlier, Juwon, is a college classmate. She adds that he is playful, which is why saying "I love you" is something he can do easily. In truth, it means nothing to him. Suddenly, she realizes she doesn't have to explain anything to him, as whether or not she is messing around doesn't concern him. She thanks him again for earlier and intends to leave once he hands her her things. For some reason, he hesitates, and then he asks her if she needs help with Yoongu, but she wants to know why he wants to help her. According to Taeon, he wants to help for his benefit as well. He came here to relax and clear his head and didn't want anything interfering with that. If anything that will interrupt that rest arises, he will be in a tough spot. That being said, he permits Sahee to say she is dating him when next Hyunggu bothers her. He senses that saying they're close wouldn't be bad for her, and when it gets inconvenient, she can just say they broke up. It's a really generous offer, but she refuses. She assures him she will ensure she doesn't inconvenience him again, so he doesn't have to worry. She is about to leave after the bold speech, but Taeon stops her again, reminding her of her bag. She then tells him he can have it, as it's just rice cake. Later on, after a night shower, he checks the bag to confirm its contents. To his shock, it's not rice cake, but taffy. He finds this interesting, wondering if the rice cake's transformed or something, since the Sahee is the granddaughter of a famous shaman. He then declares that it is sweet, but it's not bad, and it's unclear whether he is talking about the taffy or Sahee, but he is certain she played some kind of trick on him. Also, within Yeonghwadang's walls, poor, sick Mrs. Chun gets a visit from her replacement. She asks the young lady about the honey rice cakes she was to bring for her from the market, seeing as she brought something else. Sahee, who is very much ashamed of herself, tries to act natural, claiming she tried to make a replica of the dessert Mrs. Chun served her a while back. She just stares at the not-so-edible-looking meal and tags Sahee as a person who can draw well but can't cook. She eventually has a bite, even though she is not impressed that the young lady is blaming her failed cooking on the fact that she had trouble bringing the food to her. She then promises to get Mrs. Chun honey rice cakes tomorrow and regrets leaving the one she got today with Taeon. Had she known, she would have taken it when he returned it to her. She is really feeling bad now, but her sick colleague assures her it's okay. She knows about her leg condition and how walking to the market would be hard for her, so she wants her to forget about it. She is yet to say more when she notices her clothes are soiled and asks about them, but Sahee tries to avoid the question. Mrs. Chun lets it slide. Nevertheless, she warns her to be more careful and wants to know if she is hurt anywhere else or needs to go to the hospital. Her concern brings smiles to our girl's face because she is so overprotective of her that she wants to be more worried about her and advises her to get some rest, as a mother would. Before she lets her go, she admonishes her to be more careful and lets her know that she cannot get enough sleep because of her. In return, Sahee gleefully assures her she would do just that, right before she leaves. On her way to her quarters, she reminisces on her time with Mrs. Chun, specifically her constant nagging that she barely escaped. As usual, the older lady kept going on and on over nothing. She occupies Sahee's mind until she gets home to meet the rice cakes she gave Taeon at her doorstep. She wonders if he left it here for her, and remembers that he permitted her to claim they were dating. Why is she thinking about this at this hour? She doesn't know, but it looks like Sahee and Taeon are starting to like each other. In the end, it looks like Sahee is feeling it more, as she wasn't able to get any sleep until morning. It's all because of the memories of what happened yesterday, but she has work to do at the annex. She'll eventually have to go handle that, but she prays she doesn't bump into him in the process. Her wish is next to impossible, leaving her to ponder on what to do. Eventually, she summons up the courage to go to the annex, but peeps before walking in. This is just so she can confirm if there are people there or not. Since it looks like no one's home, she enters, only to meet the one person she hoped she wouldn't bump into, Taeon. He doesn't see her at first because he is busy with his golfing kit, but she says hello, announcing her presence only to get a nod in return. She is offended by the shallow response and can't tell whether he acknowledged her greeting or not. To prevent herself from getting even more pissed off, she leaves and goes to attend to his mother. Still, he says nothing to her. Fast forward to inside Yeojin's room, she is on a call with an acquaintance concerning their kids and their dating life. From the conversation, Sahee understands that the blind dating is about to begin. Nevertheless, she minds her business and continues with her job, while Yeojin continues her conversation. Soon, she and the caller are discussing how their kids' feelings for each other would need to be mutual for them to get married. At the moment, it's very unlikely that this will happen, but she admits it'll be fun if it did, and she would love for them to be in-laws. Sahee, who is still minding her business, is almost done cleaning when she notices a piece of cloth beneath Yeojin's leg. She isn't comfortable with pulling it out, but has to do it. During her attempt to take the cloth, Taeyeon's mother spots her and resorts to speaking in lower tones. But when Sahee is done cleaning, she puts the call on hold to give her a thumbs up. However, when she returns to her call, she tells the caller that the cleaning lady just left. Those words definitely hurt poor Sahee, but she ignores them. On stepping out of the room, she notices that the skies cleared up while she was working, right before she notices Taeyeon staring at her. To him, she bows politely and leaves, intending to hurry back to her room since she is tired. As if it'll be that easy. Her plans end up coming to a pause when Taeyeon purposely hits a golf ball past her. Regardless, he claims it was an accident and apologizes, requesting that she get his ball for him. Although she knows it's all an act, she obeys, picking the ball and handing it over to him. She then bows again, intending to leave, when once more the ball drops at her feet. This time, she doesn't need him to tell her to pick it up. She just does. She is now certain that he is doing this on purpose, but the annoying smile on his face makes her wonder if he has lost his mind. He asks her if she enjoyed the rice cakes. She claims she did, but can't understand why he is talking so freely with her when his mother might hear them. Still, she claims she enjoyed the rice cakes. He then tells her he enjoyed the taffy, which confuses her at first. She argues that she never gave him taffy, only to recall that the owner of the rice cake store gave her some free taffy. Initially, she wondered where it went, but now she knows that he ate it. Taeyeon, on the other hand, feels the taffy wasn't meant for him and apologizes for eating it all. As usual, it's not just some ordinary apology. He claims he has to pay her back for eating all the taffy, but she doesn't welcome the idea. She even tries her best to argue that she has received more than enough and begs him to take back his golf ball so she will be on her way. He is about to drag this topic when Secretary Kim swoops in to save the day, without even knowing. He actually came to tell Taeyeon about the team leader of their home maintenance team that has just arrived for work and offers to call the man since Taeyeon seems angry with him. However, he refuses, suggesting he will make the call himself and goes to do it, leaving Sahee with the ball still in her hand. She just stares at the ball, feeling uneasy when Secretary Kim notices her. He identifies her as the lady he saw the last time he came around and greets her politely. He's probably been the nicest to her today, with their conversation causing Taeyeon to hold back calling the team leader. He watches as the secretary swarms Sahee with warm smiles and a question about her day. He also sees when she replies with a similar smile and tells him she will be leaving. It looks like he isn't comfortable with her leaving so soon, yet he advises her to be careful on her way back. He probably doesn't notice when she drops the ball, but he does watch her leave until Taeyeon calls him and warns him to stop flirting. When he claims he isn't, Taeyeon further accuses him of flirting on the job, forcing him to beg even more in a bid to prove his innocence. Because he knows Secretary Kim is innocent, he drops the topic and asks him if he can get a book for him. He replies that he can get it before evening if he gives him the title of the book. It's Cotton Dust, Sahee's book. When asked if he needs the book for work-related purposes, he assures the secretary it's for something else. Later that morning, Sahee is back at her place getting ready to rest, because she is tired and worn out. Sadly, when she lies down to rest, all she can think about is Taeyeon. She is angry at him for acting the way he did earlier. She can't tell whether the whole golf ball fiasco was a game to him or he was doing it for fun. She warns herself not to be swayed by them. To them, she is an insignificant existence. At a time like this, a new car pulls up at Yeonghwadang's gates, a car that looks like it's filled with drama. Upon its arrival, Sahee wakes up, unaware of the car, but suffering from a serious headache. She was unable to sleep last night. To add to that, she had a nightmare. The nightmare was about a memory from a day she hadn't thought about in a while. It was on a rainy day, by some body of water, and a young girl was crying about her toy floating away. Young Sahee was there and advised they head back and return later to search for the toy. The kid persisted, called her Uni, and hugged her. The her of back then was easily swayed by that title, especially when her half-sibling said it, as whenever she used it on her, she felt like they were really family. That was why she agreed to keep searching for the toy that day. She was so engrossed in her search that she didn't notice her half-sister had gone silent. The water current was strong and she was sure the toy had drifted away, But little did she know their coming there had nothing to do with the toy. Nevertheless, she realized something was wrong when her half-sister, Hyunji, lunged at her. Back to the present day. She worries that she might be getting sick and can't understand why she suddenly had that nightmare until she hears a familiar voice call her grandmother. Talk about nightmares in the flesh as Sahee watches Hyunji reunite with their grandmother. She looks like the exact opposite of our girl, like she had a better life. Unfortunately, Sahee didn't know Hyunji was to return today, and remembers that in that memory, she tried to push her into the water. She claimed that her mother said their family would do fine without her, and their family would finally be happy. It makes sense now. The reason why her grandmother belittled her before Yeojin on day 1 was so that Hyunji would get Taeon and not her. Her mother had a tough choice to make on the day of the accident. It's either Sahee, the child of the man who abandoned her, who was being loaded into the ambulance, or the child who was born into the happy family she always dreamed of. However, the choice is never hers because Mother can't afford to lose the happiness she has craved over the years, so she just has to forgive Hyunji again, even when Mother boasts about her not having any proof that pins Hyunji down. "At least you're alive," Mother says in a heart-wrenching voice, as if Sahee should be thankful to Hyunji for sparing her life because she didn't leave and still helped her when her ankle was wedged between those rocks. Mother still insists on forgiving Hyunji because despite how hard it might be for her to walk, being alive is definitely all that matters, even if she's somewhere between living and dying. Weeks later, Sahee decides to pay her mother's happy family a visit and finds Hyunji whining about how she has to stay in the small quarters that feel like a haunted house because Grandma is trying to punish her. Her mother's new husband seems slightly happy to see Sahee because it's been a while since they last saw her, and she has dedicated all her time to working very hard at Yeonghwadang. He asks that she have dinner with them as a family, and Mother reluctantly agrees with her husband, but Sahee knows that she'd never be accepted fully in this household, so she declines the offer. Grandma knows that if Hyunji continues staying in the small quarters, she'll keep running into Sahee, so she makes her promise she won't cause any more trouble because that's the only way she'd let her off the hook. Hyunji looks so excited about staying in the main temple, but there's just one little problem. There's a special guest Grandma is hosting at the temple, so if she makes the slightest trouble, Grandma won't hesitate to kick her out. Uncle Bang remembers that he forgot to give Sahee some information because he got distracted by Hyunji and her family, so he runs after her. He informs her that she'll no longer need to work at the annex anymore, starting tomorrow, and Sahee is somewhat relieved. Maybe because if she doesn't have to go to the annex anymore, her chances of running into that guy will now be very low. God does show his kindness after. She's so glad that one of her frustrating problems has been removed, so now she can focus on all the rest. The following day, it really does look like Mrs. Chun has fully recovered, just like Uncle Bang told her. So all she has to do now is assist Mrs. Chun in preparing the meals. It seems like hearing about Hyunji and her family's visit pushed Mrs. Chun out of her illness into a recovery room, because she knows that Hyunji's family never visit unless they have a mess to clean up or a favor to ask for. She definitely stuck her ears to the wall when she was sick and let Sahee know that Hyunji's engagement was even called off. And Uncle Bang suddenly steps into the conversation. It seems he was eavesdropping. "What? Why would she do that?" Uncle Bang blurts out in shock, because why would they suddenly call off the engagement after their endless bragging about Hyunji's marriage to the son and heir of the esteemed Jungyeon Enterprises? They can only wait to find out during today's family meal because they're very sure that Hyunji's parents will ask grandmother for her help in this mess. During the meal, Hyunji's father mentions how glad he is to see every member of the Yeonghwadang family gathered together after all these years, and grandmother, his mother-in-law, also agrees with him. She asks how he has been dealing with the news of Hyunji's engagement being called off, but he seems okay with it as Hyunji is still quite a young woman, so she'll definitely find some even better. He even states that Hyunji isn't the type to give up easily in situations like this, and she agrees as she tells grandmother that marrying the heir of Jungyeon Enterprises would have even been a loss on her side, so she's definitely glad that she has the time to recover and relax from such a toxic relationship. However, grandmother isn't convinced by all their pep talk, and even reminds Hyunji that this isn't the time to relax, because she has to start making a living for herself. But her father insists on taking care of Hyunji's needs. Grandmother is furious. This doesn't seem to sit well with her because why does her son-in-law still feel the need to provide and cater for an adult like Hyunji? Speaking of always coming to grandmother when they need a favor, Hyunji's father brings up a business proposal. Their food company, Bok Food, is trying to launch a new salad business, and he has consulted a professional branding team, so all they have to do is integrate it into their food business, as it's going to bring massive growth to their company. He even goes ahead to suggest that Hyunji and her mother are made branch manager and assistant manager, respectively, so she wouldn't have to worry about them being unemployed. Mrs. Chun was actually correct because Hyunji's dad would never visit her grandmother, except if he had a favor to ask. But grandmother isn't ready to grant his request again. She reminds him of all his failed business even after she funded him over and over again. He should just stick to his current business while he tries to grow it. It's either Hyunji works at her mother's factory or gets into ballet again like she used to. Maybe she'd find a suitor in the process, or possibly get some money while at it. Suddenly, a tall young man walks in. Looks like grandmother invited him as she introduces him as the son of Madame Yoon, a Yeonghwadang guest. Sahee seems so uncomfortable seeing him here, and Hyunji notices their awkward vibe while he introduces himself as Lee Hyunggu. Meanwhile, the man Sahee has been avoiding has noticed that she no longer comes around because they assigned someone new to do the cleaning and food delivery around here. It seems he's really missing her. He can only wonder where she went. Maybe she departed like the protagonist of a book he has in his palms, a story of a troublesome dark speck of dust that embarks on a journey to become cotton candy. Turns out the story was, in fact, written by Yeon Sahee. If truly she was this speck of dust, she would be like a golf ball swung far away, just like the many inconveniences of life. His feelings for her might be unpleasant, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in his heart. So he's ready to find her if she doesn't come to him. Back at the family dinner, grandmother lets them know that she invited Hyunggu to repay a favor because his mom does a whole lot for Yeonghwadang, so he should try to feel more at home. He then goes ahead to share his business card, and Hyunji's father gets one, while the thoughts of grandmother inviting Hyunggu to hook him up with Sahee has clouded Hyunji's head. She decides to shift her mind to the business card that this young man has handed her father, and they're both in shock that he's from the family of Jaehan Distributions, a very famous and wealthy distribution company. Grandmother should have introduced this kind of man to me. Hyunji scoffs internally as Mrs. Chun and Uncle Bang speak about why grandmother probably didn't want Hyunji to stay at the main temple. She's a very cunny girl, and that's why she didn't want her to meet Seo Young, because she'd act the same way she did today because she feels she knows her place. Suddenly, Sahee's smile vanishes, and they notice it. They know she's quite uncomfortable because of Hyunji and her family, so she should probably go to Seoul if it feels too hard for her to cope. Uncle Bang even offers to buy her a ticket while Mrs. Chun promises to put in a good word for her when she speaks to grandmother, and her face suddenly lights up because of how much care and love they're willing to show her. But she lets them know that she's actually okay with staying here. Later that evening, Sahee is outside sketching and writing a story for one of her books when she hears a cat meowing. She sees the lonely kitten and feels pity for it and hurries to get a blanket because it looks cold. She's back and can't find the kitty, but this tall, handsome man standing right in front of her, it's the man she has been avoiding, so she doesn't look so pleased seeing him instead of the cat. He asks if she quit her job because he hasn't been seeing her around, and she asks if he needs something from her. Maybe that's why he's been in search of her. If he tells her, will she be willing to do anything he asks? Those were the questions he bombarded her with. But she assured him that even though what he asks is above her abilities, she'll make sure to find someone to fulfill it. He then instructs her to sit down, but Sahee is worried about what he has to tell her, while he wonders if she has trouble putting her butt on the floor. He cites some cans of soju that she's been having and asks if by any chance she feels cold, especially with the way she's been hugging the blanket that she initially brought for the kitten, but she's just bothered about why he keeps acting this way. He leans over to ask if she doesn't truly know why he's acting this way, and she still remains unshaken. But she might break soon because of how close he's getting. Her phone rings like it's been sent to save her from this man's deadly stare as he tells her to go ahead and pick it up. Turns out to be her classmate from uni. She's asking Sahee if she has considered the document she sent her earlier because it's such a good opportunity that she wouldn't want to miss. She tells her friend that she'd think about it, but she lets her know that thinking about it is a waste of time because there's no one else like this Appa. and she wouldn't want to miss this opportunity. Trust her. Her friend tells her that calling her like this brings back memories of when their class would come together and work till late in the night, although Sahee and Minjae still share a workspace. This man is getting fed up with Sahee's never-ending conversations, and he immediately asks her to hang up. Before Sahee can blink twice, he takes the phone from her and hangs up. Sahee is in total disbelief as she stares at him in confusion. He grabs her by the hand and asks her to spend the night with him. Should she be grateful for this man's straightforwardness or for his honesty? For hitting the nail hard on the head and not prolonging this thing any longer? However, she can't be an easy fish to catch. He has to play the game of teasing and baiting until she submits under him, so she gives a very blunt no to his request. He's curious as to why any woman would reject him, but Sahee definitely knows her worth. Sweet-talking her wouldn't have made her bulge, so she snatches her phone and tells him it's time she takes her leave because he has nothing to say to her as she slams the door. The following day, Sahee feels so dizzy and sick. Maybe she caught a cold last night, or it's simply fatigue from all the stress she's been through, but she just has to quickly assist with the meal preparations like always, and then she'll have some rest. She opens the temple gate to an unpleasant sight. It's Lee Hyung-gu, her former suitor, who lost interest in her once he met Hyun-ji, and he immediately tells her that he isn't here for her, and she isn't surprised at all. She somewhat feels happy that his attention has diverted from her to her stepsister, so she immediately ignores him while Hyun-ji runs up to him with so much excitement that she hasn't seen him in years. Hyun-ji seems like she's trying to rub it in Sahee's face that she can get any man she wants, but Sahee doesn't seem affected by it, because she never liked Hyung-gu in the first place. While Hyun-ji is busy blabbing about all the sweet things that her oppa is doing already, Mrs. Chun calls out for Sahee like she's in some form of distress. Sahee can only wonder what she did wrong this time around. She asks Sahee what she was up to while she was on her sickbed, and Sahee can't remember anything else she did around that time, apart from carrying out the duties she was assigned. She goes further to state that CEO Jung, the man Sahee has been avoiding and hates running into for any reason, wants to have his meal at the annex. He usually eats his food at the annex. Well, there's one little catch. He asked Mrs. Chun to come with Sahee because he wants to eat with her. And since she doesn't know what has been going on with them, she's somewhat worried that Sahee must have committed a crime. On their way to the annex, Mrs. Chun tells her that he mentioned something about Sahee having to repay a debt, and he doesn't expect her to believe him because why on earth will Yeon Sahee owe him when they have no close relation? But Sahee remains silent. Mrs. Chun alerts the CEO that they're about to come in as they find him sitting in such a comfortable position while waiting for his bride's arrival, and he looks quite delighted to see Sahee. The CEO commends Mrs. Chun when he sees how delicious everything looks, and Sahee continues dilly-dallying by the food cart just to avoid eye contact with him. But her luck runs out because he notices what she's trying to do, so he quickly calls her over to come to sit at the table with him. Mrs. Chun just couldn't hide her surprised gaze, but the CEO was quite uncomfortable with that. So he asked if she was planning to stand here and stare at them all day, so she quickly realized herself. She asks when she should bring in dessert, but the CEO tells her they won't be needing that as he fixates a sultry gaze on Sahee. Why doesn't this man want to take no for an answer? Why does he think he can get any woman he wants? Even after a firm no, he still thinks he has a chance with her, and a frown unconsciously builds up on her face as she just can't help but wonder why a man can be this stubborn. Jung notices the frown on her face and goes ahead to tell her that he didn't think having a meal with her could be this difficult, as he even noticed that she shares a strong bond with the lady that just left. Sahee still maintains her firm no, as a sarcastic smile forms on his face because to him, that no meant chase me, make me want you, and I'm not an easy nut to crack. Sahee just can't believe her ears. This man is quite unbelievable and so extra. She goes ahead to sarcastically ask if he wants her to take off her clothes and stretch herself in bed, just to please him. To her surprise, he buys the idea of taking off her clothes since she suggested it first, and in an attempt to get away from his close gaze, she falls on the bed. Well, since she has willingly decided to grace the bed, she might as well completely do the honors of taking off her clothes as he leans over. Sahee definitely needs saving from this psychopath. She feels a sudden wave of dizziness as her face becomes red and sweaty because the fever from earlier is kicking in as he notices how red her face has become. She can't lose consciousness before this man, who knows what he'd do with her unconscious body. So she tries to stay strong while Jung starts panicking slightly and decides to call his secretary to bring some medications. This man is making Sahee so confused. The other day, he said he wanted to get down with her just once. So does that mean all he wants is her body? Why then is he acting so concerned for her health? Why is he sending mixed signals and trying to lead her on? With all these thoughts running through her head, she falls unconscious. After what seemed like hours, she finally wakes up from her fever-induced sleep. He tries to help her get up, but she's just too weak, so he hands her a glass of water and some tablets. While taking the tabs, she notices a cold washcloth. He must have used that on her to help reduce the fever, as he suggests that she should go to the hospital to see a doctor or stay in his room till the fever dies down. She wants to leave now. She still has the opportunity to walk out of here with both legs, so he offers to walk her to her own side of the quarters. She's scared of the madam seeing both of them together alone. What is she going to think about this? Just when you speak of the devil he appears, they see the madam on their way, and Sahee is really bothered that she begs him to hide her because she can't afford anyone seeing him with her. Lucky for her, Mrs. Chun stops the madam along the way. She decides to take a walk with Mrs. Chun as she complains about how she hardly gets to see her son's face these days because he's always working while Sahee and the CEO are hiding in the bushes as they eavesdrop on their conversation. His mother asks Mrs. Chun to bring in some desserts for Jung because the traditional pastry she made today tastes so good, and she's sure he'd love to have some. Sahee notices she's too close to the CEO's chest. As he teases her about her fever dying down, he suddenly blurts out that he's going to kiss her, and without wasting a second, their lips quickly interlock as she tries to step away from the kiss. When they're still making out in hiding, she remembers that the madam has gone inside the room now so she can actually leave, but the CEO isn't ready to let go just yet. During their kiss, he noted that this might actually be her first time, especially from the way she found it hard to breathe while they were kissing, but Sahee wasn't interested in anything and just wanted to go. He begins teasing her by trying to fit his hands into her mouth to determine if it was her first time or not, but Sahee bites his fingers, and he immediately continues his good work on her lips. They continue their initial trip to Sahee's side of the quarters, and he tells her to hold on to his arm, but Sahee refuses. But this psychopath isn't ready to take no for an answer. He tells her that if she isn't ready to hold on to him, he'll definitely hold on to her instead. But she basically fears that someone might see them together like that and start spreading rumors. Luckily, the small quarters are quite nearby and nobody really comes around here. She immediately requests that he leave immediately after they get to the quarters, but he is still quite concerned about her health and hammers that she should remember to take her medications. He gives her a forehead kiss that immediately throws her heart off balance as she quickly runs inside. Why does this man like messing with her feelings? She blames herself for even letting him kiss her when they were in hiding. CEO Jung goes back into his quarters as he reminisces on how Sahee was just here a few moments ago. He goes in to take a shower as he paints a picture in his mind of all the things he was willing to do to Sahee if only her fever didn't start. He steps out of the shower and remembers the first day that he set his eyes on Sahee. It was a cold, snowy night, and there seemed to be a traffic jam at the temple. His secretary decided to give him a tour of the area while they were seated in the car as she let him know that the house which his gaze was fixed upon was a shaman's house in Yeonghwadang. Mother comes in to drag him out of his thoughts as he wonders what must have brought her into his room. But she goes ahead to ask him what the special occasion is since it's just evening, and he has already had a night bath. Maybe his clothes were quite uncomfortable. Well, she definitely has no time to waste. So she asks that they go straight to business as she places a photo before him. It's a young lady named Jisoo. It seems his mother is still on her mission of trying to match him with somebody. The chairman of the Hansung group would be pleased if he heard that he's dating Jisoo, so being with her would be very good for business, especially since she took the pains of flying down to Korea just to see him. Mother also mentions to him that Jisoo said he was her first love, but the CEO doesn't like little girls. Mother insists on him entertaining her for now until it's safe to let go again. She also makes sure to remind him to keep his rude side in hiding until after the date so he doesn't scare her away. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Sahee is still feeling so sick that she wishes that she could just open up and tell them that she's sick, so she could get some fresh air. She could even get sicker with the deadly gaze Mrs. Chun is giving at her back. She quickly tells them she needs some air, and the other kitchen lady grants her some space. She's outside, finally getting some well-deserved air, when she suddenly sees the CEO with his secretary. The secretary inquires if she works in the kitchen too, and comments that she is a woman of many talents. I'm sure he thought that something went down between her and the CEO. Mrs. Chun comes out to the back and sees her with the CEO, and she's shocked as she wonders what could possibly be going on between them. She invites him in and informs him about the spicy dried green radish soup she made today. She bows her head while waiting for an answer. She elbows Sahee to remind her to take a bow, and the CEO can only wonder why she hasn't gone to the hospital yet. She tells him that she did actually take the pills, so she'll be fine. He's somewhat relieved as he asks if she has had dinner, and she says she will have dinner soon, but he doesn't believe her, so Mrs. Chun cuts in to tell him that they'll have dinner immediately after they're through with servings. He then grabs her phone as Sahee wonders what this psychopath is up to again. He unlocks the phone with her face and inputs a number where she'd send proof of what she ate. This man is just trying to make sure Sahee has his number, so he should stop pretending. He reminds Mrs. Chun that Ms. Yeon is definitely not the only one working here, yet she does the chores of 1,000 people. Her health is important and expensive, so they should just actually consider giving her a break. Fear is written all over Mrs. Chun's face as she tries to stop Sahee from going further with this man, but Sahee doesn't know how to tell her that it isn't what she thinks. Why can't she tell her? Just why can't she? Meanwhile, at dinner, the CEO can't take his eyes off his phone as he's waiting for the text from Sahee, and his mother is simply furious as to why he can't take his mind off his phone and focus on dinner. Seeing how calm Secretary Kim looks, it's definitely not about work. She hopes he doesn't have a woman he's interested in. Noticing the tension, Secretary Kim decides to break the ice by asking if he should call for dessert, and she decides to use that avenue to play smart. She commends how kind and thoughtful Secretary Kim is, so her girlfriend must definitely be pleased and happy with him. But Secretary Kim is slightly embarrassed as he lets her know that he doesn't have a girlfriend. She then offers to give him one as she mentions Hyunji, the second daughter of this household. Secretary Kim knows Hyunji and even goes ahead to tell her that he heard that she has a boyfriend, and he even saw them kissing passionately in front of the building. She giggles and mentions that she could have recommended the eldest daughter, which is Sahee, if not for her leg injury, as she even goes ahead to ask Young what he thinks of the match. He slams his hands on the table as he tells her that he doesn't know if they'd be a good match or not, especially since she and Secretary Kim are of a different league's class. Secretary Kim gets emotional as he reminds the CEO of how hardworking he has been for him, making sure to devote his time and energy to his work. But after 7 years of working with him, he hasn't developed even the kindest spot for him, and still goes ahead to tell him the meanest things. Mother agrees that Young is being too mean to Secretary Kim and reminds him that he shouldn't be mean to those close to him. Still at dinner, Young receives a message from what seems to be Sahee's number. Sahee is relieved that she has sent him the number, so she should actually go ahead with her chores, but she receives a quick reply from him, asking if she's asleep because he's coming over right now. Sahee is startled because she really doesn't want to see him now, so she turns off the lights, hoping he'll turn back if he senses that she might be asleep. But luck wasn't on her side because he saw her turn off the lights, so he called her phone and even sent a text to let her know that he was outside already. She refused to reply to his texts, so he went ahead to call her, and luckily she picked up. He asks if she feels better now, and he knows that she didn't turn off her lights to sleep. She's not so good at lying. He apologizes for being mad at her earlier today, but Sahee can't even understand why he feels the need to apologize. And he even proceeds to her door pleading to see her face. But Sahee doesn't give a reply, so he tells her he'll leave the pills at the front door for her as they try to decide who should end the call first. Sahee is fed up with all his fake acts of kindness. She has to try her best not to let his actions sway her, but she feels her fever rising up again. So she remembers that he kept the pills outside for her. She's about to go take them when she notices that this man is still sitting outside her front door, and he quickly turns to meet her while she complains about why he's still here when he says he's leaving. He reminds her that he only said that he'll deliver the pills before leaving, not that he was actually planning to leave. He even goes further to hand her the pills as she contemplates if she should give in to this man's request, so he'd leave her alone. It's something she'll just have to endure for a short while and something she'd probably forget as long as they don't get caught. She instructs that he should only come at night, but he also wants to be able to see and speak to her during the day too. But she knows that it's just a fling that should start and end right here in her room. He finally decides to leave as he thinks about what "come only at night" implies. She definitely doesn't know what she's up for. He bumps into his mother, who's asking where he's coming from, while he lies about how he just took a walk and proceeds to ask what she's doing outside too. She tells him that she just felt stuffy after the call from his father about that embezzlement case that he uncovered, as she has been informed that the police will no longer investigate Taejun, who committed the crime, and Central Director Kang Munju will be investigated instead. He doesn't look surprised, which makes his mother ask if he knew about all this already. But it's nothing surprising to him because he already suspected that his father is trying to give the chairman of the board of directors to Taejun. Mother tells him to focus on getting. It turns out to be the CEO checking in on her to make sure she's fine, especially after last night's stress. And he also wants to know if she'll be making breakfast, but it's just dinner she has to make for today. He's also going to make sure to call later in the day just to make sure she answers. Later that day, she cannot help but anticipate what time his call is going to come in. But her phone buzzes with a message from Mrs. Chun telling her not to come help them make dinner tonight. She then gets a call from her friend, the same one that called the other day. Jung asked her to end the call, and he was still furious about how she ended the call that day. She also didn't pick up his calls or even reply to his messages, which made him very worried about her well-being. He lets her know that they're planning an alumni meeting with their classmates from high school, and she should consider coming this year because she's always the only one that is absent. She has been at Yeonghwadang for so long now, and she can't even remember when last she left here. She has no intentions of coming to the gathering either, so she just agrees so she could get him off the line. He's surprised that she agreed to come and tries to hide his shock so she won't change her mind. He offers to come pick her up, but she asks him not to stress himself because heading up to Seoul with all the stress will be the best thing to help her clear her thoughts right now. Jung didn't end up calling her again because he got caught up with so much work that he ended his night in frustration. The following day, Sahee is still upset that he said he'd call her back when he never really meant it. Well, she has to deliver the honey rice cakes he got her to Mrs. Chun. She'll need it more than she does. She sees Hyunji with Hyunggu again, and the rumors about them getting closer are actually true. So she has to leave before they see her. But Hyunggu catches a quick glimpse of her. She tries to ignore him, but he demands at least a hi from her, especially since they were once classmates, and might even become family soon. He teases her about how well things are going with the CEO, and she tries to act like she doesn't know what he's talking about. But he even goes further to tell her that getting her hopes up will only hurt her own feelings. Men in his class usually date women they can't marry, and he'll only date her and then marry someone else. Hurting her feelings is only possible when the other party is a charming prince on a white horse. But that man's behavior is similar to that of a villain, so she'd definitely not get attached. She teases him about getting his eyes checked because he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he gets furious. Later that day, she tried to focus on her writing and drawing and stopped waiting for a call that would never come. She should be used to men like Jung by now. She remembers what Hyunggu said, and she already knew how men like him behave. She just felt he'd be a little different. She falls to the ground as she tries to think lightly about the situation at hand as she hears Jung ask if she's through with her work. He picks up her sketchbook to see what she's been up to while he was away, while she tries to stop him from seeing the contents of that book. He finds a sketch of him on the first page, especially his designer watch, and he concludes that she might possibly want the watch as he tries to fit it on her, but it's just too big for her wrist. He proceeds to tell her to keep the wristwatch as payment for her drawing. Back at his quarters, Secretary Kim informs him about the pro opening game and if he's still willing to attend the event in Seoul or whether he should cancel, for he is absent-minded. He's still staring at the sketch she made for him, but later catches up with Secretary Kim's train of thought as he agrees to go back to Seoul only for the game. Mrs. Chun, Uncle Bang, and Sahee are discussing whether Sahee has agreed to meet up with her secondary school classmate because he really seems to like her. She couldn't wrap her head around how they were talking about rice cakes a few minutes ago to now talking about this. They even heard that the rice cakes were from a very popular restaurant that even appeared on TV. They must have really liked her then. However, he seems very clueless because Sahee doesn't like rice cakes apart from the ones made in Yeonghwadang, and they were so delicious that she ate an entire pack and even served some to those at the annex. Sahee is shocked. What if Jung finds out that she rejected the rice cakes? That picky eater of a CEO even cleared his plates and has never done that whenever dessert is served. Sahee can only wonder if he's mad at her, especially how he went to such lengths to get her those rice cakes. But she gave them to someone else. She suddenly receives a text from him asking if he could visit her tonight for something serious. Back in her room, she goes through their alumni group chat to see what's been going on. She finds out that everyone is so excited that she's finally coming for the reunion this year, while others seem to believe that she's actually going to come. She honestly wasn't avoiding any of her classmates. She had just been stuck in Yeonghwadang for quite a while, and she had forgotten how to communicate with the outside world. She actually has to give Juwon a reply soon about the offer of studying abroad. She's torn between going to study abroad or continuously wallowing in this pit hole. If the offer had come a while back, her bags would already have been packed and ready to go. But now that she has started developing feelings for the CEO, this has become quite a tough decision for her. She hears a sound outside as she wonders if the CEO actually came to see her as she tries to apply some lip balm before going to check. Why is she going through this hassle just to please this man? She has to conduct herself wisely. She opens the door and finds him sitting outside waiting in anticipation for her. Once she crosses this door to meet him, she should know that it's all over. This is such a tough decision to make, but it's one she has to stand up to. He asks if she's had any alcohol, but she lets him know that she doesn't drink every day. So he proceeds to ask about her drawings. But she's not ready to answer. Not after he found a sketch of himself in her book. He then leans over to tell her that he actually did enjoy the rice cakes as she apologizes for giving them away because she's not a fan of rice cakes. He then asks what she likes since she doesn't like rice cakes, but before she could give an answer, he leans over as he locks his lips with hers and then proceeds to carry her inside her room. She just wants him to be over with this thing and even asks that he turns off the light, but she's such a magnificent sight to behold that he just can't turn off the lights. He makes sure that she is relaxed enough to enjoy the ride of her life because this night isn't ending so soon. The next day, she wakes up to him still by her side as she finds him making a sketch which he purports to be her, but she just can't see any resemblance between his sketch and her face. He squints in pain, and he's so concerned, so he asks her to lie down so he could take a look, but she's quite shy. So he reminds her that he's probably seen everything already last night. She has hickeys all over her body, which makes him intensely attracted to her again that he even forgets it's morning and wants to get down again. She's tired and wants him to leave now, and she's so startled and worried when she hears Secretary Kim put his name. Who knows how long he has been out there? With how shy she looks, he knows she wouldn't want to go out for breakfast, so he asks that she sends what she will have for lunch later in the day or better still join him for dinner, but she refuses and asks him to come in the night like they agreed. As he's about to leave, he cites the abroad scholarship form she left on her table as he wonders why she hasn't grabbed the opportunity yet. Rumors are spreading around the quarters that Chase Yeonbak has gambled away with Hyunji's marriage money, and the whole family is a mess. Hyunji is crying her eyes out while her dad is trying to beg the saintess, as if begging would quench her anger. Mrs. Chun is away, and there's nobody to serve the CEO's meal as nobody in the kitchen is strong enough to face that rude CEO. Uncle Bang is chosen to do the honors, but he has so much to do already that serving the CEO would only take up so much of his time, so he begs Sahee to go instead. She gets to the quarters, and Secretary Kim is glad to see her, but the CEO is so engrossed in his work that he hasn't noticed that she's the one standing there, so she has to make a run for it before it's too late. As she's about to do so, he catches a glimpse of her out of the corner of his eyes and asks her to wait. Secretary Kim quickly understands the room and tells them he'll have his lunch outside. Jung draws Sahee to himself and tries to get down with her again, not minding that someone might walk in on them, but he actually doesn't care. He notices that she's swollen and tells her to go rest because he'll come to her at night. Back in her room, she blames herself for letting him win again, despite how much she fought just to stay sane. He makes her go crazy around him, and why would he say that she's starved when he's always the one chasing after her? She texts him not to come again because she's planning on sleeping early today, and there's also no need to tell him that she's going to Seoul. It's not like they're dating or something. Her phone rings and it's Juwon on the line. He's calling to confirm if she's still going to make it to Seoul tomorrow, especially since she decided so quickly. He wants to make sure that she finds her way there and also knows the time to expect her. She ends the call and is about to leave when she notices that Jung is standing at her front door, even after telling him not to come. He finds her luggage outside and asks if she's going anywhere, as he actually came to check up on her, and he sways her off her feet with a kiss. He's worried that that friend of hers who's always calling her over the phone will be there, so he tries to assert dominance. They get down again, and the next morning he asks her to get some rest before going to Seoul. Jung's mother is surprised because of how he suddenly showed up in Seoul without any prior notice, but she's still glad he did because Jisoo fly into the country soon. Mother asks if he took out his time to read the documents that she gave him, but Jung has little or no interest in this matter, and it hurts his mother that sometimes he's painfully like his father. And this is very unpleasant for her. When Sahee got out of bed, she couldn't find her luggage as she had a strong hunch that Jung had taken it, so she decided to call him up and find out. It turns out that he actually took the luggage with him. Maybe he was trying to lessen her load, or probably get her to come see him at the hotel he has asked Secretary Kim to book under his name. As they head out, Secretary Kim appreciates how the flowers have bloomed and turned Yeonghwadang into a very beautiful place. Meanwhile, the CEO reminiscences on how the first time he came to Yeonghwadang was so snowy. Instead of the flowers they're seeing now, it was snow all over. He passed Sahee by as he took a keen notice of her doll-like face, as what he felt for her initially was a sense of kinship. Then curiosity came by, and now he just wants to see emotions bloom on her dollish face. Now he's stuck in his bullshit, and can't find a way out of this mess that he created for himself by trying to get to know the talked about woman Sahee. Return it. My luggage. These words brought him back from memory lane as Sahee demands that he hands her luggage right away. He asks her to get in so he can take her to Seoul, but she just can't, because she came here to get her luggage back and not go to Seoul with him. She didn't come with the rest of her things because she didn't expect this man for be this cunny and petty at the same time. Before she could go on and on about the things she doesn't have with her, he drags her into his car while Secretary Kim can only feel mere embarrassment on behalf of the CEO. Why does this man make matters worse every time? Doesn't this man have work to do? Her phone rings and it's Mrs. Chun. She asks if she has left for Seoul already because she couldn't find her in her room, and she tells her that her plans have suddenly changed. She asks if things have improved back home, but it turns out that with Hyunji and her family always around, things would never get better. Mrs. Chun can't wrap her head around what gave them the audacity to take out a private loan to borrow such a large amount of money. No wonder they always looked so scared and sad when talks about breaking off the engagement come up. Who's going to pay off their 2.5 billion won debt? She just doesn't know how long this matter is going to drag on at home, but she's just glad that CEO Jung is off to Seoul for a meeting so she'll get some space to breathe at least. However, she tells Sahee to keep it a secret that she's in Seoul for now, and she'd do her best to do same over there, and she has also spoken to Uncle Bang to keep it a secret too. After her call, she tells Secretary Kim to drop her off at a hotel that's between Gangnam and Yangjae Station, but Secretary Kim knows he can't do that without the CEO's instructions. He even sees their interlocked hands through the rear mirror and can only wonder what exactly is going on between these two. The CEO tells her that he already booked a hotel for her where she could rest. But why did he go through the hassle of doing that for her? Maybe because he knows she's going to come back tonight, drunk and wasted, so she needs to gain energy for all of tonight's stress. She asks if he doesn't have any business to handle, but seems like she has no choice. They get to the hotel and Secretary Kim offers to bring their luggage in, so they should go in first. Everyone in the hotel is on their feet as they keep greeting the CEO and making sure everything is to his taste. She should have expected this. A man who commands attention and draws respect wherever he goes, and being next to him withdraw attention to herself. But definitely not in a good way. He asks if he's walking too fast. or if she's uncomfortable with everything around her, but she tells him that she's all right. He really needed to know if she's all right because she can get angry with him in the slightest second. But this man is so skilled at making her mad, so it's not her fault. He asks when she has to leave, and if it's not so soon, then she should rest for a while before she leaves. They get to the 15th floor, and she decides to start unpacking, but he offers to help her unpack her things, but she stops him as she insists she'll do it herself. Sahee is still very worried about her feelings for the CEO, but she should just be hopeful since nothing bad has happened yet. Since it's still bright outside, she'd wait for a while before she leaves, so she goes out to seat with the CEO. However, the CEO has been concerned about how many men will be available at Sahee's alumni gathering because his feelings for her are building up every day. She lets him know that they'd be expecting at least 6 men, and he even goes further to ask how many of them are interested in her. And Sahee is surprised by such questions that he's asking. She's about to get up and leave when he draws her back and places her on his lap while he sinks his head into her chest. He notices that she's already so wet and she's too embarrassed, so she looks away. But he fixes his gaze on her because he wants to connect with her soul and make her feel every bit and ounce of him. He reminds her that she has to leave soon, and he even offers to come pick her after the party, because he's so sure she'd probably get so drunk because they haven't seen each in a long while. He asks her to be ready to pick up her phone and try not to drink so much before he comes.
In a hidden corner at Yeonghwadang, a confrontation is ongoing. Lee Hyungu seems to be in disbelief and is emotional as he questions Hyunji about some rumors he has heard outside. Rumors are circulating around about her planning to marry someone else, and even breaking off her engagement. He demands answers from her. Hyunji is completely unbothered by Hyungu's emotions. In her mind, she thinks about how sick of everything she is. She doesn't know why breaking off her engagement is such a big deal. Listening to Hyungu accusing her of trying to deceive him by breaking off her engagement and getting with him instantly, she likens it to dating someone and breaking up with them. She doesn't get why everyone is acting like it is a big thing. She can't help but feel some resentment for the man who got her into this state, Woo Seon-ho. She remembers everything that occurred between them, how she was supposed to marry someone else but fell for Seon-ho. He was the only one who made her feel seen and special. Since she was young, she has always felt invisible. She felt that everyone's attention and love was always on Sahee. Every time anyone compared her to her stepsister, she always fell short. She was neither their parents' favorite nor their priority. That was what led to her pushing her sister off the cliff. But everything changed with Seon-ho. With him, she felt loved and important. Everything in the world felt like hers. So when Seon-ho whispered some sweet words to her and asked to borrow some money in her name, she fell for it. She didn't leave and chose to believe in their love. In the end, she was betrayed. Back to the present, she feels glad her family agreed to lie that the debt was her father's. Thanks to that, they were able to garner sympathy from her grandma. She makes up her mind. Since she was used in the name of love, she will use others' love for her as leverage against them. She pretends to be mad and tells Hyungu it is up to him to believe whatever he wants, she doesn't care. She finds it laughable that she is doing this but doesn't stop. She shouts and tells him he can leave since he prefers to hear others' opinions and has no intention of listening to her. When she says she is disappointed in him, Hyungu becomes angry and questions how on earth she could say she is disappointed. Hyunji acts sad immediately, crying about how the marriage was forced on her because of the condition of her father's company. She complains about how it was just an act to make her grandma believe she was living well and she didn't really love the man. She just couldn't break off the engagement. Seeing her crying, Hyungu feels guilty and all his anger is gone. She hugs him and says she was going crazy too after meeting him. In her mind, she refuses to believe this is her life. 25 million in debt, expulsion from her dream ballet troupe and breaking off her engagement. She can't accept this. In another city, our female lead Sahee is attending her class reunion. She is sitting next to her friend who teases her. She talks about how it feels like they have traveled to their past days of working and getting drinks after with her here. Sahee denies this and points out that it must be because her friend's former crush, Park Min-jae, is here. The lady silently agrees and remembers him as being crazy in love. She wonders if Sahee isn't take back to their boy-crazy days upon seeing Min-jae. Sahee advises her to stop drinking, but her friend just leans closer and asks if she is seeing someone. Before Sahee can respond, she answers the question herself and says it is impossible. There are no guys in Seoul, so how could there be guys back in Sahee's home? We don't know what Sahee thinks of, but she blushes. Someone pokes her shoulder and she turns around. It is her friend Kim Jwan, who informs her someone has been calling her. Taking her phone out, Sahee makes a strange face when she sees the caller. It is Jung Taeon. She steps outside to answer the call. Jung Taeon demands to know where she is and she replies she is at a pub. He wants to know if she drank a lot, but she denies and says she only had a little. He feels she must be very drunk since she is speaking so casually. She tells him he is speaking casually too. He doesn't feel comfortable leaving her there and wants to know her exact address. She refuses, insisting she can get home by herself. She randomly thinks about how she can't see the stars from here because of the crowded buildings. Jung is a bit frustrated and asks her if she wants him to go crazy and search all around Gangnam. She chuckles, not believing he will go that far, but he dares her to try him. Knowing he can do such, she stops laughing and promises to tell him the address. She gives him a condition: he can't step inside though. When he arrives, he should give her a call and she will meet him outside. He scolds her, asking if she knows how many missed calls she has. She vows to pick up the phone this time. Unknown to her, someone is approaching where she is. Sahee wants to know when he will arrive. He isn't sure but still asks her to wait for him. Done with the call, Sahee hears someone call her name. She turns around only to see her friend, who immediately raises an alarm, yelling out to everyone about Sahee dating someone. Back inside the pub, Sahee is the focus of her classmates. They pester her with questions about her boyfriend, how they meet, how old he is, and if he is handsome. Sahee is feeling very uncomfortable. She tries to explain they are not in a relationship, but her female classmate is not buying it. She demands to know why he would come pick her up if the two are not dating. Kim Jwan, Sahee's friend, approaches and the female classmate informs him that Sahee has a boyfriend. Jwan is unsettled and his face pales. Sahee insists he is not her boyfriend, but no one believes her. Her friend wants to know what they're doing if they are not dating, which makes Sahee keep quiet. She can't expose that they are just intimate partners, can she? Very soon, a car pulls up outside the pub, making them all very excited. They admire the expensive car and pass the news around. Sahee tries to escape outside, but a male voice from behind stops her in her tracks. She stares forward with wide eyes. It seems Jung forgot her instructions because he is standing behind her right now. He puts an arm around her shoulders as he greets her classmates, calmly introducing himself as Jung Taeon. Seeing the tall, handsome man, Sahee's classmates are a bit flustered. Her female classmate immediately offers her seat to Jung. The rest are surprised and question if he is really Sahee's boyfriend. Our girl is a bit scared and tells Jung to quickly leave. He doesn't listen to her, however, and instead admits that he is her boyfriend. She leans closer to him and demands to know what he is planning, as people will misunderstand. Jung ignores her still. He is on a mission. Looking to his left and right, he immediately spots two rivals. He smirks and moves to stake his claim. He whispers into Sahee's ears, telling she can just pretend they broke up later. His proximity makes her blush. She wonders to herself why he is doing this. They are supposed to just be a one-night stand, but it seems like they have become lovers. The other end of the table, Jwan is staring at the two, heartbroken. The reunion goes on with lots of drinking and broken hearts. The gathering comes to an end soon. Jung is sitting to the side smoking, while Secretary Kim is busy assisting those who are drunk. Sahee feels a bit guilty and asks if she can help him with anything. He refuses and promises to send her friends home safely, making her relieved. She thanks him, but it seems she has something on her mind. She finally voices her thoughts. She is concerned about Jung considering how much he drank. Secretary Kim laughs it off, assuring her that this amount of drinks is nothing and his boss will be fine. Sahee is still feeling a bit shy when Jung approaches and grabs her hand. It is time for them to leave. While they walk back, Jung stares at her and suddenly comments on how strange she is. He was expecting her to be mad when he showed up. She reminds him he was the one who taught her to say that to her friends, the one who told her she can just claim they broke up. He smirks, knowing she wasn't even going to admit they were dating. Turning her head, she says it is not impossible. All of a sudden, he starts laughing, making her a bit frustrated. She clenches her fists, wondering why he is laughing at her. He stops and takes her hand, telling her he will keep her words in mind. Two head into the hotel. Once inside the room, he starts kissing her. Jung is not as calm as he looks. His thoughts are still on the reunion he just attended. There were 6 men on their table, and out of those 6, all of them were interested in Yeon Sahee. He stares at her face carefully, making her worried. She asks if he is drunk. He smirks and tells her other things would be happening if he was drunk. The two soon start to get intimate. Our female lead is awake. Her mind goes back to the passionate night she had yesterday. She is confused by Jung's behavior during their loving. The man she is thinking about walks in and calls her name, making her sit up in a panic. He comes to check if she is awake, and she says she is about to wash up. She informs him she is planning to go out today. He is curious about where she is heading, and she explains she wants to get delicious things from Yeonghwadang. He stops her and says he will get it himself since Seoul is far from Yeonghwadang. He is also heading that way. They will leave at 4, so he wants her to rest till then. Sahee is unused to such pampering and immediately declines, wanting to go herself. Jung smiles naughtily and asks if that is so. He changes the topic suddenly and asks if she has strength to shower alone, grabbing her. She wonders why he isn't leaving yet since he said he has plans, but he calmly replies that he still has a little time he can spend with her. Hearing the way he says her name like she is his precious, she tells him to stop calling her like that. She finds it weird. Her sentence triggers another round of loving. This time when she wakes up, it is evening. Jung approaches her and tries to place an anklet on her injured leg. He claims to have picked it himself and isn't sure if she will like it. She hurriedly tells him to stop gifting her and to take his things back. Done with placing it on her, he refuses and asks her to throw it away if she doesn't want it. He accuses her of even doing this before. He leaves the room, but not before telling her to get ready so they can leave. What he thought is a romantic gesture, however, leaves Sahee feeling sad and inferior. Of all things, why did he have to get her an anklet? The only thing it will do is draw attention to her every movement as she limps, which she doesn't want. Pulling the blanket up to her mouth, her face is clouded with sadness. She hates this. She really hates feeling so inadequate after receiving a gift. Secretary Kim has taken their luggages downstairs. The couple watch him leave. Jung reaches out his hand for Sahee to hold as they leave. When she raises her arm, he spots the anklet on her wrist and stares at her. A little embarrassed, she lies that it is cold even over her socks. He smiles and kisses her fondly, saying she behaves cutely. In the back of her mind, she feels something is different. She carries this thought even on their journey back. They return the same way they left, leaving her confused if it is only her feelings that have changed. Two secretly glance at each other. Sahee reaches out to stop Secretary Kim and asks him to let her off around here so she can walk to the entrance. Secretary Kim asks for his boss' opinion and Jung immediately objects. He instructs his secretary to take them all the way to the front. Sahee is touched by his behavior and feels that Jung must have changed too. She reaches out to hold his hands, making him smile. Car comes to a stop and Jung comes around to open the door for Sahee. He demands to know what strange thing she has done to him. She smiles happily and denies doing anything to him. He plans to send her luggage through Secretary Kim and kisses her, asking her to sleep well. She leaves but is a little bit disappointed, wondering if he isn't coming over tonight. Over at our male lead's side, someone has stopped him to talk to him. It is his mother. Glaring at Jung, she questions him on why he is so late. The mother and son glare at each other for a while. It is Secretary Kim who comes to break the tension and offers a gift to the madam, claiming it was gotten by CEO Jung for her. It is her favorite pastries. Madame Yoon doesn't believe him and tells him so. Jung interrupts them and asks his mother if she is still mad at him. She scolds him and says this must be why he is always getting dumped. She tries to drag innocent Secretary Kim into their battle, but he supports his boss. Madame Yoon claims he is a man so he can't understand women's feelings. She asks her son if he is busy. He informs her he has a presentation to prepare for, but she dismisses it and wants him to join her. They're mother and son after all, so he has to oblige her. She turns around and invites him for some tea. Inside her room, Sahee is staring at the tons of messages on her phone all about her boyfriend. She places her phone down and buries her face in her hands. Staring at the anklet on her wrist, she knows someday when the time is right she will have to tell her friends about their breakup. She recalls the gentle way Jung helped her put on the anklet and blushes. She raises her head and catches a glimpse of herself in the mirror. She is a bit dissatisfied with her hair. She remembers her friend saying she looks prettier with bangs and makes a bold decision to cut her hair. She is reluctant to do so, however, and hesitates with the scissors poised over her hair. She spots something that shocks her. Or rather, the lack of something. There is a picture missing from her room. Because she is distracted, her hand slips and she cuts her hair off, making our innocent girl scream in despair. Side, Sahee holds a package while covering her forehead with her hands. She glances around sneakily, hoping no one will notice her disastrous attempt at making herself pretty. She scolds herself for getting distracted while cutting her hair. She heads over to Mrs. Chun's house and lets herself in with the woman's permission. Mrs. Chun is shocked looking at the girl in front of her. She calls out her name slowly, asking if this is the reigning hairstyle. Sahee is embarrassed and reveals she accidentally cut it in a moment of distraction. Mrs. Chun laughs at her helpless look and mocks her for calling herself an art student. She drags her over so she can help tidy her up. While the two get to work trying to make Sahee look good, they discuss. Sahee wants to know what is up with Hyunji's family. Mrs. Chun says they look like they're mourning. Hyunji is the only free one, however, still engaging in bedroom activities. The older woman mocks Hyunji, mimicking how she sounds while getting intimate. Sahee turns red and tries to shush Mrs. Chun, afraid someone might hear her. The woman is unfazed and says she is being loud on purpose. She is sure the saintess will cover their debt and tells Sahee so. Sahee is a bit disbelieving, but Mrs. Chun vows her grandmother will have no choice but to do so their family does not fall apart. She will pay off the debt while her son will work hard to repay her. Sahee is worried about Yeonghwadang though, as she is sure they don't have that much money. Hyunji's family is always piling up debts and causing trouble, which they have to clean up. Mrs. Chun reveals the saintess will head to Seoul to request assistance from Youngmoon chairman. She has been getting calls to go there anyways. Mrs. Chun is sure she will also arrange for Hyunji and Hyungu's wedding while at it. Since she believes Hyunji's marriage was called off due to her dad's debt, her grandmother must be feeling really soft now. Mrs. Chun hands Sahee a mirror so she can see her hair. Sahee is pleased with what she sees and thanks her auntie. Mrs. Chun notices the bracelet on her wrist and asks about it. Sahee forms a lie and says she picked it up from a random booth in Gangnam. Mrs. Chun is a bit relieved, making Sahee want to know why. Her auntie shares her thoughts about it being from CEO Jung, alarming Sahee. She looks down guiltily, while her auntie is happy that isn't the case. She reveals something that changes Sahee's mood. Jung Taeon is having a marriage meeting the day after tomorrow, right at Yeonghwadang. Yeon Sahee returns to the room after the meeting with her aunt, but her mind is a mess. Her heart is broken by the thought that Jung Taeon will be going to a marriage meeting. She mocks herself for being too naive. She should have known it would always come to this. Him having his marriage meeting and even here at Yeonghwadang. Her heart refuses to remain calm though. No matter how much she tries to force herself to believe she is okay and is holding up fine, she knows she is not. There is a knock on her door and she opens it to reveal Jung. Seeing him, she suddenly feels fine again. He seems to notice something and asks her what happened. When she seems clueless, he points out that she has cut her hair. Sahee immediately remembers her styling failure and panics, holding her head with both hands. Outwardly, she calmly says he is right. He teases her about getting a boyfriend and steps into the house. She is caught off guard a bit. He wants to know what made her suddenly cut her hair during the one night he was away. She can tell he is hinting at him being the reason behind her change. She coldly tells him she doesn't need to stay pretty because of a person. She just cut her hair wrongly. He notices her blushing face and smirks. Pulling her into a hug, he compliments her, making our female lead a bit flustered. She doesn't expect him to say such, but he holds her face and repeats his statement, calling her pretty. Sahee focuses on his kind smile and her heart turns into a mess again. She wants him to let go of her. She can't recklessly throw herself into this heat of desire for someone that isn't even hers. Jung is more focused on getting her to smile. Tis stares up at him in a daze as her mind wanders to something else. In the end, she stares at the picture he suddenly took of her while she was in a daze and complains. She urges him to delete it. He smiles happily and refuses. Sahee's heart gets messy again as she wonders why such a picture would be significant to him. She suddenly remembers the picture that went missing in her room. It was a photo of her with her male classmates. She deduces that it must be Jung who took that picture from the wall. The culprit is still busy admiring the picture that he took, and says it is a shame. It would have looked even better if she smiled. His words dampen Sahee's mood again. It was so easy for her to smile in pictures back then, so why is it difficult now? Jung wants to retake the picture, but Sahee is feeling horrible. She can't deny anymore that the news of his marriage does affect her. Her insides are even turning upside down. She can't pretend to be fine any longer. She wonders if she is the only one feeling so conflicted. Does Jung not feel it too? He pulls her closer and she suddenly can't control her emotions and pecks him. Taeon is pleasantly surprised and then asks if she had a good rest last night. When she says yes, he immediately starts getting intimate. Sahee's heart is not in it, however, as she wonders if she can ask him what this night means to him. Does it mean something more to him, or it's just casual? Jung says randomly that they should change the bed, but she refuses. He teases her about it, asking if she is okay with her bed being broken. She says she is fine with that, but in her heart she desperately wishes he is a mess like her. Couple are busy getting intimate. Sahee had made up her mind not to question anything that happens in their relationship or care where their love is leading to. Recalling her resolution now, however, brings her a little shame. It doesn't seem to matter though, because she can never openly express her feelings. While Jung is trying to bring her pleasure, Sahee knows that even if they're together like this, regardless of the many sweet words they whisper or the tender kisses they share, their relationship exists only in the moment. It is raining outside. Our girl is cuddled up with Taeon, but she can't sleep. Her mind wanders to the cherry flowers she saw yesterday. She wonders if it will be a sight that will disappear without a trace when the time comes. It is clear she is talking about her Jung. Feeling her touching his face, he urges her to sleep. Sahee feels that flowers are so weak and her feelings are just like those flowers. After so many years of waiting to bloom, they are easily swept away by the passing storm. Can't be helped because flowers have seasons, they change. She recalls Jung's face and acknowledges she already knew that. But she just wanted to stand beneath that scenery one more time. It is morning and Jung is awake. Looking at the adorable woman by his side, he can't resist teasing her. He scratches her nose a bit while she just mumbles and goes back to sleep. He finds her so cute and smiles. Sahee doesn't know about this because when she wakes up, he is gone. At this point, she knows it cannot be helped. She thinks the flowers are falling and the seasons are changing, just like her feelings. And now she has made up her mind. After dressing, she makes a call to her friend Yoo. She has decided to give it a shot. She plans to attend Juwon's study program abroad. Her friend is in disbelief and asks why she still needs to join the program. He is sure her boyfriend is rich enough. Sahee reminds him that she is not in such a kind of relationship with Jung. Her friend demands to know what kind of relationship they are in then. Are they just casual partners? Sahee sits outside as she explains to him about how it is. She has problems with her leg, and not only that, her lover is Jung Taeon. Jung isn't impressed even if it is Jung Taeon. He asks if the man despises her because of her leg, but she denies it. She reveals that they were only together for a short while and their relationship was always going to end. Hearing footsteps, she turns around and spots Uncle Bang staring at her. She hurriedly ends her call and asks what brings her uncle here. Uncle Bang's attention is on the words he heard, and he wants her to deny that she has something going on with CEO Jung. Sahee asks him if he would believe her if she denies it. Her uncle isn't too pleased as he already suspected it. Her words today just confirms it. He wants to know what she plans to do now and if anyone else knows about them. She says Mrs. Chun and Secretary Kim are aware of their affair. She doesn't want her uncle to worry and reveals Jung Taeon has a matchmaking meeting. She tells him their relationship was never serious. If not, she would be crying sadly in her room by now. She fakes a laugh and begs her uncle to help her with cleaning since he is here already. He agrees and asks about her change of hairstyle, which makes her embarrassed. She explains it was an accident. As the two converse, she notices Uncle Bang slowing down his footsteps just to match her pace, and her heart warms. Remembering a time when Jung slowed down just to match her steps, she knows that not only Jung Taeon can treat her this well. As long as anyone has good intentions towards her, they will take care of her. The two relatives are done with cleaning and decide to share a drink together. Uncle Bang is impressed by how clean her room is. In her mind, Sahee thinks it is because she has a frequent visitor. Her uncle notices the gleaming watch on her table and she offers it to him. He refuses to, calling it weird and ominous. He complains about why there are so many canvases. Just as he sits on the bed, an unexpected accident happens. Her bed breaks into two. While her uncle complains about the bed, Sahee smacks her forehead. Who would think the bed would actually break? Over at Jung Taeon's side, his secretary is reporting business matters to him. He refuses to take a break as he knows the headquarters staff also need to clock out early. He asks Secretary Kim if he has anything else to report. The man reveals he has news regarding the second daughter of Yeonghwadang household. The Jungmoon chairman has pulled some strings before a formal investigation could be carried out, saving Jung Taejun. Jung wonders why his uncle is so devoted to Saintis Park. He asks if there are any other calls from the Saintis, and he is informed that her presence is requested in Seoul. Jung is sure his father is planning to use this as leverage against the Saintis. His secretary interrupts his thoughts and reveals that according to inside information, this is not the first time the second daughter is causing trouble. 20 years ago, the Saintis also had to borrow some money from the chairman, about 5 billion won. Jung calculates and discovers Hyunji should have been just a kid then. He wonders just what kind of trouble a kid can cause which would be worth that price. Even Secretary Kim finds it odd. However, when he tried to inquire about it, he was told to stop prying further. The person they are speculating about is in a heated phone call. Hyunji is arguing with the other person on the line, who we discover is the ex that deceived her. She scolds him for calling her now after blocking her and changing his number. The man doesn't seem bothered and asks her to calm down, making her even more furious. She demands to know where he is so she can kill him. He says he is already in trouble without her adding to it, and tells her to calm down. His words send her spiraling as she shouts about how she is in more danger than he is. She asks how he plans to fix her life. He gives a lukewarm apology and whines about how he is about to end up in jail. His words make Hyunji calm down as she demands to know what is going on. Standing outside, Hyunji is in deep thought. Taejun has gambled away the money he embezzled from Jungmoon Constructions, putting them all in trouble. She regrets accepting money from him. Now, Taejun will walk away free while her family will have to take the fall for him. Although everything seems quiet now, soon articles will be released about this. That's why she urgently needs money. Looking at Hyungu waving at her with a bouquet of flowers in hand, she is determined. This is her only option before her grandma finds out. She hugs Hyungu softly, saying she thought he wouldn't come. He reminds her he has promised to protect her. Handing her the flowers, he urges her to marry him. While Hyunji pretends to be surprised, in her mind she thinks marriage is not enough. She needs more assurance, and so she turns away. She asks what he would do if his parents don't like her because of her dad's debt. Hyungu is eager to please his lover and pats his chest, promising to convince his parents. Hyunji apologizes and thanks him. She gives him a hug, but in a place he cannot see, she smiles viciously and calls him a stupid fool. Sahee is holding a 1-minute silence for her deceased bed. She has been using it since elementary school, and up until now it has sufficed, until it met the murderer Jung Taeon. She blushes as she didn't really expect the bed to break from their intimate activities. She gets a call and picks it. It is the bed destroyer Jung Taeon. He wants to stop by to see her, but Sahee is a bit reluctant. She remembers his marriage meeting is supposed to be tomorrow and hesitates. Taeon assumes she is shy because she doesn't want to be intimate and promises they won't do such. He apologizes for overdoing it yesterday. Sahee really doesn't want to see him today, and she wonders why. The two lovers sit outside on her porch. Jung demands to know if she is hurting somewhere. She says she is feeling a little sick. She tells him she wants to rest alone. In her heart, however, she is doing this because of his marriage meeting tomorrow. She stands to head inside, but he stops her. He questions her about her sudden change of mind. Just last night, she slept peacefully in his arms until daybreak. His words do not please her as she assumes her heart and opinions doesn't mean anything to him. She tells him coldly to let her go. Examining her, Jung finally releases her and allows her to go inside since she looks like she isn't feeling well. He wants to be the one to bring her to her bed though. She tries to protest and tell him something is wrong with the bed, but he cuts her off. He was wrong, so the least he can do is this. She still tries to stop him but gives up and leans against his chest. Jung Taeon is shocked when he enters the room and asks her in surprise what happened to the bed. She descends from his arms and claims she changed it because it was too old. He can see through her lie and smirks at her. He squishes her cheeks and informs her she is supposed to demand compensation in a situation like this and not ask to be left alone. She wants to know why he is asking about her bed, and he replies that it is because his mistake seems pretty serious. He plans to send over a new bed for her, but she refuses loudly. To him, she seems scared that they will be caught, and she admits she is. He tells her she can go with her family to get a new one and buy whatever she wants. For that, he hands over his bank card. He orders her not to return it when she is done with it, but to keep using it as she pleases. Any girl would be thrilled by this, but not Sahee. When he tells her she can buy anything she wants as the card has no limits, she is suddenly reminded of a politician who spent 1.5 billion won just to please his mistress. Jung is a bit regretful that he can't accompany her personally to get what she wants. She refuses, saying she doesn't like crowded places. That isn't a problem for Jung as he offers to buy out the shop to make it empty for a day. Sahee is disappointed as she relaxes. Jung is just like those people who think money can solve everything. She feels disgusted and so she chases him away. He isn't aware of her feelings and kisses her quickly, wishing her a good night. As he leaves, she makes up her mind not to become his secret affair. She blocks his number as it is not too late for them to end things here. Looking at all the gifts he gave her, she plans to return everything to him. The day of Jung Taeon's matchmaking session has arrived. Uncle Bang is still concerned about Sahee and asks her repeatedly if she is okay. She focuses on cleaning as she assures her uncle she is fine. Like she said, their relationship was never serious. It's over and she ended things with him yesterday. Their discussion is interrupted by someone's call. Madame Yoon approaches and calls out to the two of them. She seems happy to find them there and tells Sahee she has something to discuss with her. She informs her if she isn't busy, she will need her to help serve today's matchmaking session. Dressed in an apron, Sahee stands outside the door and observes the couple inside. Jung is sitting with a beautiful lady in front of him. She announces her presence to the people inside as the person who plans to prepare their meal. Looking at the two people sitting inside, Sahee feels everything has gone back to its rightful place. Just because the two of them were in some sort of relationship doesn't change what she is. His potential wife can never be her. Her eyes become downcast as she serves the food for them. The girl sitting with Jung smiles happily as she admires the food before her. She complains about how hungry she is. Sahee wishes them a happy meal and is about to leave when Taeon calls her name. She turns around to see him beckoning her. He orders her to pour him a glass of water. While she serves them, Jung and the lady continue their conversation. Jisoo mentions how nervous she was coming here. She goes ahead to call him her first love. No matter how Sahee tries to hide it, she still feels affected. Her eyes catch the wide smile on Jung's lips and her heart breaks further. She exits the room, leaving the two couples to continue their date. Side, she is stopped by Madame Yoon, who thanks her for doing a good job. Sahee says it's nothing. Jung's mother lets her go since she doesn't want to hold up a busy person, and Sahee leaves. She wonders what sort of fantasy she has been living in all this while. Of course, Jung and his mother are in a position to nonchalantly boss her around. Remembering how Jung smiles at the lady, her heart breaks. She thought that smile was meant only for her, but it is now being given to someone else. She tries to comfort herself with the fact that they only dated for a bit and now she no longer wants to see him. Jung is over at his date listening to Jisoo talk. She keeps talking about his older cousin and how he bosses girls around. She hopes Jung is not like that. She praises him for being kind and chivalrous. Jung's eyes, however, are following Sahee's figure, wondering why she hasn't looked at his face even once. He interrupts Jishu's chatter and suggests they eat now so the food doesn't get cold. His thoughts turn to Sahee's action of blocking him, as if she wants to tell him this is the end. No matter where he looked, he couldn't find her. For her to suddenly appear before him just now, it must be his mother's doing. He never even knew there was a matchmaking session for him until today. It was also then that he found out Sahee was going to host them. A message comes in and he looks at his phone. It is from Secretary Kim, informing him Sahee is back. Sahee spots Secretary Kim standing in front of her room and asks what he is doing here. He tells her his CEO has been waiting for her before he had no choice but to leave. He wants Sahee to call him when she returns. Sahee calmly tells him she has seen Jung, making Secretary Kim a bit confused. She heads inside and returns with the box of Jung's things, handing it to Secretary Kim. She asks him to pass it on to the CEO. In her mind, it is really over between them this time. Shutting her door, tears begin to slide down her face. She cries pitifully and scolds herself for being too prideful. Bending down and burying her face in her laps, she regrets it. She should just have been an easy woman and smiled like it didn't matter. That way, her feelings would have meant nothing. Jung's date is over. Secretary Kim hands over the package from Sahee to Jung. Looking at it, Jung is a bit disappointed to see everything he gave her returned. Smirking, he tries to call her again but the call doesn't go through. He confirms she has returned from Secretary Kim. He hands the bag over to his assistant. He has some things he needs to address with his mother and Jishu. Only then can he head over to find his woman himself. Jishu is still feeling good about her date today. Jung, however, is more relaxed and nonchalant. He seems eager to send her off. She stops to ask him a question. Does he really only date older women? His thoughts drift to Sahee and he wonders what his response would be if she asked. Presently, he tells Jishu he doesn't remember. She mentions how bored he seemed earlier but he says he had fun. She is relieved by this and wants to know when their next date will be. He avoids her question and calmly tells her to have a safe trip back and to study diligently. Jishu is unreconciled and demands to know what she did wrong. He says she did nothing. When she keeps pestering him, he advises her to settle things with her current boyfriend before going on a date with another man. His words leave the lady stunned. Walking back inside, he meets his mother. She wants to know if he sent Jishu off well and he replies he did. His mother starts praising Jishu. She wants to hear his opinion and he agrees with her. His expression is so fake, she questions if he is being sincere and he says he isn't. His words make her angry but before she can retort, he tells her he is leaving. He informs her that because of her bad temper, over 20 headquarters employees are still stuck at work and can't leave. Madame Yoon's face turns vicious as she hears him say she has a bad temper. The reason why she did this was because she knew he went to Seoul with some girl. When she investigated, she found out it was Yeon Sahee. Knowing her son is the type to get what he wants no matter what, she can at least stop the girl if she can't stop her son. Sahee steps out of her room and finds a tray on her porch. From the food items on it, she knows it was left by Uncle Bang and Mrs. Chun. It has been this way since she was younger. Anytime she was hungry, the couple would look after her this way. Eating the food they got for her makes her tears start falling again. She already said it was not a big deal, so they won't worry about her. He was just a guest who would leave at any time. Since they've agreed to bury it and move on, then they should just do so. She finishes her dinner and stands up from the steps. Her name is called and when she looks up, Jung is standing there. She coldly asks what he is doing here. He tells her he saw the thing she asked Secretary Kim to give to him and wants to talk to her. She doesn't want to talk to him though, as they have nothing to say. If he came here to get intimate, he is going to be disappointed, so he can just leave. He climbs up the steps after her and informs her he came here after turning Jishu down. He assures her that if he knew he was having a matchmaking meeting beforehand, he would have informed her. He understands she is angry, but her asking him to leave is also unfair to him. She doesn't know what his action is going to change. She explains that he will still go on another date. He'll even get married too. Although they agreed to be like this from the start of their relationship, she does not plan to keep being his mistress until his wedding. He smirks suddenly and asks her if that is the problem. He pulls her out of the house immediately, startling her. He wants to take her to meet his mother right now. Sahee is startled by his words and asks him to let go. He asks her if this isn't what she wants. She yells at him to stop. He doesn't understand why he should. His mother is probably still awake. If he explains to her now, it'll all be over. Sahee looks up and she is crying. She asks if he is crazy and he retorts asking her if she was in her right senses when she went to serve just because his mother asked her to. To Sahee, it is impossible for her to turn down his mother's request, and she wonders how he would even dare to say that to her. He insists it is different. She points out that him asking her to pour water and fetch his golf ball is no different from what his mother did. To them, she is still just a servant that lives here. Jung is heartbroken by her tears and wipes them away. He hugs her when she wails because she can't refuse his mother if even he thinks of her that way. She buries her head in his chest as she scolds him for daring to still bring her to his mother. She wants him to just go away. He asks where he could possibly go. She tells him go on a date, get married, and do whatever he wants. He refuses and asks her to look at him. He would never do that and has never thought so lowly of her. Jung explains to his woman why he did these things. He asked her to pour water for him, not because he thought of her as a servant, but because he was mad at her for trying to run away from him. She doesn't believe and calls him a liar. He stretches her cheeks immediately. With how bad she is at cleaning, how could he even think of her as a servant? Every time she comes around, there is always something that ends up bothering him. He asks her if she didn't realize that he was interested in her from the start. Then why did she pretend not to know? Also, the golf ball was just his attempt to mess with her. He wanted her to just look at him even if it was once. Sahee refuses to believe as she thinks it is ridiculous. He tells her if she doesn't believe, he can grovel and beg at her feet right now. She is shocked by his words. He stuns her further when he hugs her and apologizes. He admits he is wrong. She pushes him away as she doesn't want to misunderstand that he actually thinks of her as a special person. Jung Taeon to everyone is a power tripper. It is only in front of Sahee that he feels like his actions are special. He hugs her again and assures her it is not a misunderstanding. To him, she is always special. He asks her why he would comfort her if she wasn't special to him. He wouldn't do something that crazy. She is indeed special to him. As he says this, he lifts her hands and kisses it. She is insanely aggressive, stubborn, and so pretty. Two push into the house. Sahee wants to know if they are getting intimate again. Jung reminds her she was the one who didn't want anything else with him. She is the one who didn't answer his calls during the day. She tries to defend herself by saying he wanted to sleep with her just once. He asks her if she was sad and she asks who will be happy to hear those words. He suggests they start going on dates. Sahee thinks he is joking, but he assures her he is not. There are a lot of things he wants to do with her and to her. She blushes because of his words and suddenly remembers his date. Did he really reject her? He replies positively. She asks further if he will go on any more matching-making sessions and he says he won't. How can he go on more dates when she is already this made about just one? He brings up her blocking him while he thought she was sleeping, making him worry all day. She smiles and promises to unblock him, which he appreciates. He reminds her to also answer all his calls. Jung wants to know why she didn't throw a fit if she really hated it that much. She turns away, saying she doesn't have the right to do that. He isn't pleased as this won't do. From now on, she has to stop jumping into conclusions without asking questions and instead wait to hear his explanations. He makes up his mind they'll get intimate today and have a date tomorrow. She doesn't know where they can possibly go and he says anywhere. She can even come over to his place. She protests as they will get caught, but he admits that is his plan. He wants them to get caught. His words leave her dazed. The two soon start to get intimate. Wants us to continue this recap? Comment part 4 below. And also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ciao!